What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party. Peace and love, party people, and a place to be is the BKMC, the MCEO, the Little Lebowski Urban Achiever, Talib Kweli, and a place to be. That's right, this is People's Party. This is the world's best podcast, and I got the world's best podcast co-host with me, Jasmin Leigh, and a place to be. How you doing, Jasmin?
You know what? I'm ready to... Let's get it started.
Really?
And the beat goes... Okay.
I don't know how I feel about that. That's how you want to get it started?
Why not?
All right, well, today we're going to get it started because we have a lot to talk to this person about. People's Party, this podcast, I'm very proud to be involved in this, and thank you to the staff and my wonderful people who help us here at People's Party to put this on. But this show was designed for this guest. Mm-hmm. This show is designed for these type of conversations. And I'm so happy that we could bring it to you today. Today's guest comes straight from the future. He is a tomorrow man fighting a tomorrow war. We are talking about a rapper, a singer, a songwriter, a producer, a TV personality. Beyond his solo work, he has worked the boards with pop's biggest names, hip-hop's biggest names, music's biggest names. I'm talking about Nas, Michael Jackson, Justin Bieber, Kesha, Britney Spears, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Usher, Justin Timberlake, and myself. All legends. He is one of the biggest stars in the world, one of the most recognized people in the world. With his band, the Black Eyed Peas, who graciously took me on tour. He's given us 8 studio albums, including Behind the Front, Bridging the Gap, Ella Funk, Monkey Business, The End, The Beginning, all platinum. More recently, he's given us Masters of the Sun, which also comes with a fantastic graphic novel, in case you haven't seen that yet. Translation and solo albums Lost Change, Must Be 21, Songs About Girls, Willpower. He's acted in movies and lent his voice talents to Madagascar 2, Arthur and the Revenge of Maltazard. I haven't seen that one, obviously. X-Men Origins, I have seen that one. Date Night, Bouncing Cats, and the Rio series. He gave us the theme for Samurai Jack. He's shown up in several video games. This man is iconic. This man is a Grammy-nominated and Grammy-winning artist, multi-time host of The Voice, a multi-hyphenate, a man who just flew to Dubai to accept his place as a Time 100 Impact winner. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for a man who made time in his very busy schedule. A good friend of mine. He's come back to the present to visit us. He's already done this interview and nailed it. He walks backwards like he's in Tenet. Give it up for will.i.am in the place to be. What's up, bro?
Chilling. What's up, everybody?
Floating in.
What's good, Will?
Well, you said I walk backwards like Tenet. That's good. That's a bar.
Because you're from the future. will.i.am is in the house, y'all.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. will.i.am, we toured together. This is how we met in 1998 on the It Get It tour.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't go.
And nobody knew, so nobody went.
Because at the time, there was no mobile internet. And so for a lot of folks that are like 20, they're like, what? Before the internet? Like, yeah, that was a point in time where
it
we
was.
didn't have smartphones.
It was Black Star, Black Eyed Peas, and Biz Markie. So rest in peace to the diabolical, the Emma Zae. I learned so much from him on that tour. What did you learn from Biz on that tour?
Man, so the first record I ever bought was Biz Markie's album. And he is like, what he told me was, be fearless, be dope, and be entertaining, being charismatic. So if I think of like Nobody Beats the Biz to You Got What I Need, that came from the same person.
Yeah.
Where like, and then like songs like this was something for the radio. Like
he wasn't even rapping on that song.
No,
just talking.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
That just showed me like how dynamic you can be as an artist, and then seeing him and touring with him just showed me just how larger than life. Like he was there at the birth of this thing that saved my life. saved a lot of people's lives. Hip hop saved a lot of people's lives that were in the projects when schools weren't educating them because there was no funding, where like the drug pandemic was, I say pandemic because it was global.
That's right.
Was, you know, just messing people's lives up. Hip hop was like the Calvary for a lot of us.
The Calvary.
Yeah, it was. Like, it wasn't like the school district saved us.
That's for damn sure.
You know, like hip hop was the Calvary.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
And,
indeed.
you know, people like, you know, Big Daddy Kane, the whole Juice Crew was Calvary for me. Not only that, you know, Boogie Down Productions and KRS One, the opposite end of the spectrum. That really raised me. Like, I'm vegan. I don't eat beef because of, you know, beef.
What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease?
You know, that really like gave me, you know, the blueprint, no pun intended,
the blueprint. Another KRS album.
on my whole, like, what I do with success, like going back to my neighborhood, starting the school that I started, because in my mind of what success was, I remember KRS One going and speaking at colleges. Like, wow, what? To me, that's large. So, but Biz Markie, his personality was so down to earth. He was such a humble, you know, magnetic, because he attracted your attention. Super charismatic. That dude was awesome.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace to Biz Markie. KRS is also a direct mentor for me. On that Itty Gitty tour, the mother of two of my children, Darcel, was pregnant. And I was on stage with Yasin Bey. Y'all had just got off stage. And I found out that her water broke and I was going to have a daughter. And so I cut my show short and I hailed a cab from D.C. to New York City.
Wow.
And for the birth of my daughter, Deani, who's over there. So there's a full circle moment.
That's more than full circle.
And how much was the cab?
Sometimes
like $500, something like that.
Sometimes circles are just like tables; they're flat. But that's like a full sphere.
Yes,
because she could enter the sphere. She's like an amazing freaking artist.
Yes, she is.
You just didn't give birth to like a female. You gave birth to like an amazing creator.
Yeah,
she is.
That is like all the time, because I got homies that got kids, and no disrespect, but the kids ain't that dope. You know, I mean, they're dope in their own right.
Right, they're dope as human beings.
But as far as like following their parents' footsteps, or even like being courageous enough to like go after what their parents did, that's awesome.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of times like that could be daunting to a child. Like, oh man, I don't want to, you know, that's what my dad does, or that's what my mom does. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But when they come and they like, whoa. That's your kid, bro? Like,
and a lot more pressure on them too, to be dope.
Yeah, like I just found out Razkaz got two freaking twins that
Jesus
are just
Christ.
decapitating cats.
Shout out to Coast Contra, bro. Razkaz and Teacher Moses twins, and the two other dudes they in the group with, who I'm not familiar enough to know their names yet. But we talked about this. These are some of the best MCs I've heard in a minute.
Bro, like, when I saw that on Pete Rock's feed first, I'm like, nah, who this? And then I'm like, wow, obviously they inspired by the 90s, but not inspired inferior. Inspired like, yo, if y'all came out in the 90s, y'all be the best, some of the best cats then.
Then, you're right.
And then I was like, somebody, you the one that told me, yo, that's Razkaz kids. I'm like, no, it ain't. Well, now it all makes sense, because Razkaz is like incredible.
God level MC. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have kids that have dope ass dads or dope ass moms and they dope like that, wow, that's fantastic.
Yes, indeed.
You know, I'm just gonna speak into existence the dopeness of Coco. Shout out.
She's gonna be dope.
She is dope.
Video. She's
gonna be dope.
She is dope.
You were born in East LA. You wanted to learn code, and you developed an AR comic book app. Why do you think it is so important to bring STEM to kids from inner cities?
STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So I'm not a dope musician. I can't play the piano like Stevie Wonder or John Legend. That's not my skill set. I can't sing like John Legend. So what allows me to make music is technology itself. I played the hell out of that computer. Before I was making music on computers, I played the hell out of that MPC. Before I had the MPC, I played the hell out of that SP1200. Those tools came to existence because of technology. Some engineer coded that. Some engineer like electrically made that board and the processor for that to be. And had I had that skill set, then shucks. You mean to tell me I could have made my own freaking like machine to allow other folks to make music in a non-traditional way, which is now traditional? Hell yeah, I would do that if I was 15 years old. And if you think about all these affluent neighborhoods, there's folks that live there that have contributed to the world with the tools that we use. Like somebody made this microphone. Right. Somebody like this, whatever this wire is from whatever company that is, that's somebody's shit. Right. That's somebody made these LED lights. Right. That's all this shit is somebody's shit. But this shit don't come from where we come from. Mm-hmm. It ain't somebody that's stressing in the neighborhood or the hood like, man, I gotta freaking spin this board. Man, I gotta freaking align. Where's the firmware? Man, get that firmware, bro. Right. Like we behind date. Like we gotta freaking marry the firmware to the hardware, bro. Like that's not what we stressing about in the hood, bro. Right. You know that's not what niggas is tripping on. Right. It should be. Right.
But it's not.
Right. So what really blew my mind as far as like, oh wow, look what we can do, is when Hey Mama, a song from the Black Eyed Peas, was used to launch iPods.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
That was a big moment for us. Because at the time, we hadn't really like jumped the mountain. We were still at the foothills. Like going on our first record that came out in 98, Smoke and Groove's tour in 1998, then 1999. And because Black Eyed Peas were like a college group, when Napster came out, like everybody got our music for free. Mm-hmm. That was like a real hit to the gut.
You tried to shut a lot of that shit down too.
Yeah, you know. And so when everybody was like, "Yo, F Napster, fuck Napster," I met Sean Fanning. And I'm like, "Yo, I want to know what you know." Right. And so we became friends. And because of that relationship, I think Silicon Valley was like cool with the Black Eyed Peas to then use our song to launch iPods, iTunes. And then from there, I met like Jim Basile at the time, who was the CEO of and founder of RIM, which is BlackBerry. And that whole mind configuration is what gave me the courage to tell Jimmy that we should make our own hardware. Like, yo, let's make our own shit.
Right. You're talking about the Beats headphones.
Yeah, that moved into Beats. And so from the jump of Beats, you know, Jimmy is like one of the most loyalist, coolest, most influential person in my life. And he's that way for a lot of other artists that were signed to Interscope. But for Jimmy to acknowledge, you know, that seed of let's make hardware and have me involved with Beats from the jump, that really just showed like what we can do as a community if we were tripping on firmware, spinning boards, what type of battery, how to shrink everything to its lighter. And we need to do that in our community a lot more. You know, Dre is like the blueprint on like, look, we can build our own technologies. So I know that was a long answer to your
it was a perfect answer.
No,
it was the right answer to the right question.
It was, and also like just think about all the things like black people nigga rig.
Oh, nigga rig, yeah.
Yeah, you be nigga rigging some shit.
Oh, you mean like duct tape and shit?
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, that's
but it's like if you have the
bubble
skill,
gum and masking tape.
No, that's because like
if you have the skill to go behind it, like, you know, there's so many things that we fix without having any knowledge.
No, hood solutions, like, boy, get that clothes hanger and put it on this TV. Like,
yeah, because I'm trying to get that station.
Get them pliers for you
right. Put that battery in the freezer.
Yeah.
That saves the battery. Brings it back to life.
Yeah, be like, check to see if that battery works.
Now, I never did that one.
Right. Poke out the tabs and the tape so I could tape my favorite songs off the radio.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about the regular cassette tape.
Yeah, you can poke out the tabs. And you can poke out the tabs, and then you poke out the tabs, and then you put the tissue in the tabs.
Wait, in the cassette tape?
And you can record over it. Yeah.
And you record over it.
So this was before blank tapes,
yes.
Obviously? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
I'm old.
I mean, I'm up there, not up there, but I'm
up there, but I'm not like poking out the holes in the tapes up there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about the I Am Angel Foundations and their efforts to bring those programs to California schools?
So every time like a natural disaster happens, they always the music industry shows up. Mm-hmm. Every time, like if depending on the artist, if there's an election, the music industry shows up. If there's like a final, any type of sports, the music industry shows up. Like we show up at any intersection for the right reasons most of the time. And one day I realized when I was out in South Africa, we did a show and we met Nelson Mandela. And I just looked out into the audience and there wasn't that many black people in the audience. Mm. And so then I called my manager at the time, like, yo, I thought we was coming to, it was your first time in South Africa.
I'm in Africa.
And yeah, your mind's like, oh shit, motherland. And they're like, yo, your ticket prices is too high. Mm. I'm like, oh, what? They're like, yeah. They can't, the locals can't afford
to come to the concert.
Your show. So after the show, we did that, we did an interview and I looked to the camera, I was like, yo, Black Eyed Peas, we coming back next year. We're going to do a free show. And so our manager was like, yo, why did you just do that on national TV? I was like, well, because if I had asked you,
you would have said no.
We wouldn't have done it. So now we have to do a free show.
Put it out there.
So now we got to figure out how we do a free show. So we go back to South Africa. We meet Nelson Mandela, and I realized like I need to do more in the community that I come from. Mm. So that same year there was a tsunami in Bande Aceh. And that year, that March, I wanted to see what I can do for my birthday. I was like, I don't really want to party. I want to go out and do service. So I flew out to Bande Aceh, ground zero of the tsunami, and I did tsunami relief. And when I was out there, like, passing out water, clothes, blankets, pillows, feminine products for folks that were displaced from their families and their homes, I realized that there's a tsunami every single day in America.
Where you from?
There's a tsunami of neglect, a tsunami of non-educational funding. There's a tsunami of, no opportunity. There's a tsunami of zoning issues where there's a strip club next to the liquor store, next to the check cashing place, next to the fast food restaurant, down the street from the elementary school. And that configuration is not in Beverly Hills. You will not see a liquor store next to a check cashing, next to a strip club, down a street from a school. That combination is psychological fuckery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, school to prison.
Because it tells you that I get money, I don't know how to save money, let me cash this money, let me go buy some drink and throw some dollars at these girls and send my kids to school down the street, and then the girls they see it just repetitive, that cycle. I was like, man, I want to go back to my neighborhood. Let me figure out what I can do. So it took me about 2 years to do the I Am Angel Foundation, to figure out like what I want to do. Because just sending kids to college that's from the hood, maybe that's not a good recipe, because I know a lot of cats that go to college, they get a diploma with shit tons of debt. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I started my scholarship fund first on Oprah. I went on Oprah, the Oprah show. And I gave away, remember I told you I knew Jim Basili from Blackberry. So I don't DJ like the homies DJ, like practicing cutting and scratching and freaking like.
Right. You're not a turntablist.
I'm not a turntablist. But there's this new app there was this new piece of technology that came out, and now I could blend with the sync button.
Right.
I could like cut it up with like repeat. And so then I started DJing, getting paid like buku bucks. One day I did a freaking.
Buku is old.
That's a lot.
I was getting paid like buku bucks, bro. Right. They paid me $600,000 to DJ an hour party
in Vegas.
Nah, bro.
Let me get on my
somewhere
app.
in the States.
Okay.
So I was like,
that's not like Vegas prices.
I told my manager Polo and my attorneys like, yo, I need y'all not to commission
Shout out to
this.
Polo.
He was like, what you mean not commission? I was like, yo, bro, like this money fell out the sky, and Motivate's been DJing forever. Everybody that we know has been DJing forever. And boom, out comes this technology. Now I'm DJing. Mm-hmm. Like, yo, bro, I shouldn't commit. Y'all shouldn't commission this. I'm gonna get this money away. And so I gave away the loot and sent kids to college, no debt, full board and tuition Oprah. And so I was like, okay, I started my I.am scholarship program. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to my neighborhood, keep that same configuration, figure out how I support kids to send them to school debt-free. But then what skill set am I going to give them or provide for them so that when they graduate, they could fill jobs or create jobs? And STEM is the path to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So engineers, computer scientists, autonomy and robotics, advanced mathematics, that is the recipe for folks to create jobs. And it turned out that my gut instinct 11 years ago was correct. I started off with 65 kids. Remember I said that, we did that iPod commercial? The person who thumbed up us to do that song was Lorraine Powell Jobs. She said that one day her and Steve was about to go to sleep, and he asked her what song should they use for the iPod commercial. She picked that song.
Because women rule the world.
Right? She picked that song. She ain't lying.
She's not lying.
Right? She picked that song on multiple levels. They rule the world. Mm-hmm. Like we wouldn't enter the world without.
That's right.
That's like the doorway to life.
That's right.
Literally.
So she thumbs up. That gave us like the entry to Apple. Now there's a documentary called Waiting for Superman that
Great
talks
documentary.
about, how behind America is on preparing our youth and how we compete on an educational level. Mm-hmm. And we're like, you would think we were first. Like we nowhere near first. And one of the schools in this doc was a school that my mom went to, Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights. And I got bussed out to Palisades ever since I was 7 to go to schools out here in this area. So when I met Lorraine Powell Jobs, she has a program called College Track. And I asked her if she could bring her program to my neighborhood. And she's like, we're only in the Bay Area, and we never intended on bringing the program to Boyle Heights or Los Angeles, for that matter. But if you want to do it, you're committed. It's a $10 million commitment. This was 2008. Wow. I'm like, wow, $10 million? Oh, shit. I ain't got $10 million. In 2008, no matter how big the Black Eyed Peas was at that point in time, I didn't have $10 million disposable. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. She was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, this is serious because you cannot just do it this year and then forget next year, because that cohort of kids, 65 kids, they're going to go from junior high school, graduate college.
No, it's like the episode of The Office where Michael Scott promised the kids he was going to pay for all their college. And then he forgot about it. And then it happened. I'm sorry. I watched way too much Office.
God dang it, Talib.
I was like, all right, cool, I'll do it. We 12 years in now. So I started with 65 kids with robotics programs, computer science programs. And I do things like, I'm super discreet. Like Black Eyed Peas, we make some poppy ass music, but I live like a freaking super like discreet, covert, ninja type lifestyle.
Can tell by the shoes.
Right, because we come from like Black Eyed Peas. I was a backpack rapper. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I got signed.
I was there.
Battling MCs. I got signed to Eazy-E in 1992. Ghost wrote for like Ruthless Records. Have 2 songs with Eazy, Merry Motherfucking Christmas.
Merry Motherfucking Christmas. I am a connoisseur of Christmas music.
Yeah, so yeah, we got that song with Dude. Then I got a song called
Clan.
Niggas and Jews with
that's
Eazy.
That's another classic.
Yeah. But I like to, and I was inspired by the folks I was inspired by, Heavy D, Kid and Play, colorful rap, right?
Right. Mainstream that started out as authentic and original and real, but ended up in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm. So me going back to my neighborhood is like, I don't have to talk about the gang from my neighborhood. Like, I don't have to talk about like, living in the projects. I live a very, my imagination is too big for that. So going back to the community, 65 kids, now for the past 12 years, we serve about 11,000 students in LA, USD now.
In LA.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
We send kids to Dartmouth, to Brown, Stanford. We send kids to Georgetown.
That's truth to power right there. Absolutely.
And thank you, KRS One. If you watching this, KRS, thank you so much for like helping me be the person that I've become. your music, the things you stood for. Thank you so much for that, because the kids in my community benefited from me really taking everything that you rapped about 100% serious. And yeah, bro.
You're in my head right now because KRS is my direct mentor. Like, that's who I pattern who I am as an MC after. My MC style is KRS One, Q-Tip, and Ice Cube, early Ice Cube mixed in together.
Yeah.
But it's really, really based on Chris. And I don't know when this is gonna air, but I'm about to do Lyricist Lounge, 30th anniversary.
Whoa,
It's me, Grand
30
Pooba.
years already?
Yeah, Kid Capri, we old. KRS One, Bahamadia. But you mentioned the South Africa thing. It's crazy because I went to South Africa with Malcolm X grassroots movement. And we were doing, we're freeing political prisoners and bringing books and turntables to the neighborhood. We're doing social justice work. And we went to the racism conference in Durban that year. Colin Powell walked out
What
of the
year was
racism-
that?
2001. It was right the week before 9/11. Colin Powell walked out the racism conference because they were calling what was happening in he was upset that they were calling what was happening in Israel, the Israel-Palestine thing. They were using the word apartheid because we were in South Africa, and the United States stands with Israel on that issue. So Colin Powell walked out. So now that South Africans, like the conscious South Africans, it was me, Black Thought, J. Rooter Damager, Dead Prez. So they were like, "Yo, y'all talking about y'all here to serve the people. We can't even afford to go to your concert." So it was Stickman and M1 from Dead Prez said, "Okay, well, we're going to do a free show." And we went to the township in Johannesburg and we set up speakers and we did a free show. Boots Riley taped it.
Wow.
And he just put it out on his Instagram last year. Like, I didn't even know he did this. My memory was bad at that time. Like, I was wilding at that time of my life. But I was in South Africa with the people, and Boots put it on Instagram. So it's crazy to hear you say on the Black Eyed Peas level, y'all was going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to the people of South Africa for challenging us as Americans to keep it real. Apple, the app of Black Eyed Peas. He is an amazing ambassador for Filipino culture and hip hop. This is one of your best friends. You got a song, A Monkey Business, where he's celebrating Filipino culture. Tell me about meeting him at summer school in 1988.
There's certain moments in your life that if they didn't happen, you wouldn't be doing what you're currently doing, whether it's good or bad. Like, if you didn't meet that one homie, you probably wouldn't be locked up. If you didn't meet that one girl, you probably wouldn't be miserable. Or if you didn't meet that one homie, you wouldn't be in that nice house. If you didn't meet that one girl, you wouldn't have the awesome family that you have. Like, there's a moment in time that changed everything. And that moment in time for me was when Apple came to my projects. I was 14 years old. My mom, she told me, she was like, "Willie, you ain't going to school today." I'm like, "And you ain't going to school for the rest of the week?" I'm like, "What?" And I had my first girlfriend, her name was Carmen Perez. She was like,
Sounds hot.
"Yo."
She sounds hot.
Carmen Perez
That's
was
a hot name.
yeah. Like, Carmen Perez was,
Hot.
I was in the 9th grade. My mom let me dress how I wanted to dress. I had the Gumby that way.
Y'all had the steps.
Yeah, I just had the Gumby. I used to have the, we were poor, so my brother used to make my African medallion out of the Nike box. Like, my brother made my African medallion going to school.
Denise Huxtable's finest.
I swear, my mom made my freaking MC Hammer pants.
Wow.
I was going to school fashioned up. So when my mom said, "You ain't going to school," I was like, really like, "What? Missing a week?" She was like, I'm like, "Why?" She was like, "Well, Mr. Hudgens." I'm like, "Who's Mr. Hudgens?" "Well, Uncle Faye's friend adopted somebody, and you're going to play with him until they enroll him in a school. He needs somebody, he's your age,
right?
So you're going to stay home." And my mom in the projects was the lady that took care of everybody's kids.
Right.
Like, in the projects, there's always like, go to Auntie,
Right.
go to Big Mama house. That was my mom's house.
Right.
There's
Nas
nothing
talks
but-
about his mom and being like that.
Yeah, that's how it was in our projects. My mom took care of everybody's kids. And so I'm 14 years old. She was like, "And you're gonna entertain Uncle Faye's friend's son." So Apple walks in. Dude don't speak no kind of English.
No cons.
No. Apple is straight up Filipino.
Right.
Like he don't know no kind of English, bro. And so I'm trying to figure out how do I talk to this dude.
Right.
Like he knew like basic things like I'm hungry.
I need to use the bathroom.
Yeah, like basic stuff.
Thank you and please.
Turns out like I'm like, do you dance?
Mm-hmm.
Do you dance? Because I used to like I was dancing. I was like a MC dancer at that age. And so he showed me that in the Philippines they do like the Running Man. I'm like, oh, okay.
All right.
And at that point in time, when you're 14, the OGs start recruiting the little kids to join the gang. And when you grew up in an all Mexican neighborhood, it could get real iffy because at that point in time in the 90s, blacks and Mexicans didn't really get along.
Yeah.
But my homeboys, like that I grew up with, they always was like, fucking Willie, dog, you're fucking crazy, Holmes. Like, fucking kick that rap, that's
Right.
And so like if you met me when I was 14, dog, like you wouldn't even recognize me, Talib. Like I talk like this, fool. Like for real, dog. But
you know what's crazy
about
about you saying that is we just had Be Real on here, right? And we had Be Real 3 years ago, and I asked about being Latino and NLA and saying the N-word, how people get upset. You know what I'm saying? Like Latino, you're not black, you can't say it, even though he identifies as Afro-Latino. And he said, look, where I grew up at, if you was a Mexican dude hanging out with black people, you sounded black, but we also had black people who hung out with Mexicans who sounded Mexican.
That was us.
And we never talk about that.
There was this dude named Mellow Mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's Sen Dog's younger brother.
Yeah, so Mellow Mayonnaise.
Who's also kind of darker.
Yeah, so growing up in East LA, he was like the translator that made Mexicans and blacks get along. Because like everybody loved, Mellow Mayonnaise. Everybody loved that song, that Spanglish bilingual flow. Yeah, and you haven't really heard that coming out of L.A. from the West Side. That you had. Like,
for us on the East Coast, East L.A. was Cheech Marin, born in East L.A.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Well, if you remember Colors,
I am a nightmare walking.
Yeah, so there's a. They call him like the Black Cholo. There was that Black Cholo that was there.
That one dude.
That one dude. Yeah. So my family would have been that one.
That one dude.
There was like 3 families there, so it's not fair. There's other families that were in our neighborhood, but to Mexicans, we were all one family.
Yeah, I can see it. Boyle Heights is definitely all Mexican.
And so that was like the backdrop of Apple coming into my life. He saved my life at the time because had I not hung out with Apple, I would have, ultimately just hung out with the neighborhood.
Right.
So Apple lived in
going to school trying to be fresh.
Yeah, Apple lived in Los Feliz. And I used to go there like, yo, what? This is one day I want to live here. Mm-hmm. With all these trees. Like, what? Look at all these trees. Just simple dreams like, yo, I want a house. I want to buy my mom a house. Give my mom a nice car. That was always the dream, like to take care of my mom. To move out the projects. And my uncle was homeless. The reason why he met Mr. Hudgens is because my uncle was homeless at the time. And Mr. Hudgens used to sponsor Apple ever since he was 5, 25 cents a day, 5 cents a day, ever since he was 5, and then brought him to America.
Wow.
You sponsor kids from third world countries that need education or need basic things like books, clothes to go to school. And Mr. Hudgens was a provider for that. And then the kid writes letters like, here's what my grades are. Here's how I'm improving. Here's how the glasses you got me. Apple's blind. Apple can't see. Like if I'm standing over there and I put a different hat on and stand differently, he ain't gonna know that's me. If I change my voice, he recognized me from my voice and my shape and my posture.
Right. His other senses went up.
Apple's blind. Legally blind. He can't drive. He can't see no colors. He can't see from here to the door. He can't see from here to the camera. And when we on stage, we making sure App's eye.
Yeah. Like make sure he don't get too close to the...
Yeah, so if you watch the Black Eyed Peas, it's me and Tab, and Apple's always either behind us on the shoulder, so we like doing this. Because
to make sure.
Right? That's my soulmate, my brother for life.
Yeah.
So when one of the notes that Apple wrote to Mr. Hudgens was, I want to come to America to get an education and take care of my family. And he did that. And so 2 years after he got here, 1989, 1990, 1991, 1992, we were signed to Ruthless. He only been in America for 2 years and then signed to Ruthless.
And didn't know any English at first.
Well, he took ESL in Marshall High School, English as a second language.
Yeah.
And his vocabulary, because of that, because you learn English from the dictionary.
My mother taught that for years.
Super like...
Impeccable.
Yeah, so focus on this, the ear seductionist, more than lyricist in this rap metropolis, more like an activist. I give it to you all. I'm like, yo, you wrote that? He was like, yeah, you like it? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You wrote that?
Right. He took to them words.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, that's, wow.
That's beautiful, bro.
And so we like built, our whole thing was like, yo, we would go to parties and be standing at the end of the line, an hour to get into the club. And one day he was like, imagine if we were popular, we wouldn't have to wait in line. I was like, yo, I know, huh? So we had this whole thing like, all right, let's start a crew. You go to Marshall, I go to Palisades. You get 5 people to bring into the crew from your high school, and you got one person that you could give 5 puts to. And if we do that, then our crew would be the biggest crew in LA. Because we boys, you go to Marshall, I go to Palisades, I bring somebody from my neighborhood, put 5 people on, just like the gang. The gang do it that way.
Right.
You jump people in, and then one person you give rank to. Like, hey, fool, you got rank, puton? If I got rank, like that's
Did you
how
see the foot though? Did y'all see
I
the
didn't see
foot go out?
Yeah, no, 'cause that's how they used to do it. Like, that's how they used to do it in my neighborhood. Like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply that same shit. And that's how we started the Black Eyed Peas, was like giving like folks rank. Put 5 people on, one person gets rank, and you repeat.
Right.
And you hold everybody that has rank accountable. And but we just did it in a very colorful way. But these are all like tagger tactics. Like, I grew up tagging. So the same thing, if you have a tagging crew, you give somebody rank, and then
It's so hip hop.
Yeah.
You took the gang rules and used them for good.
Yeah, it's so hip hop. Definitely shout out to Tab. You mentioned Tab earlier. That's my guy.
Yeah.
You know, such a beautiful spirit. He's like pop God body pop. You know what I'm saying? Like he like, even like, y'all got a song, hold on, I wrote it down. Y'all got a song, Ring the Alarm. And he talks about, he's always dropping knowledge. I remember when I was on the road with y'all. Thank you for taking me on the road, by the way. Thank you.
That was an amazing memory.
It was beautiful. Everyone had their thing on the road. You know, App had his dance solo. You had a freestyle solo. Fergie had a vocal solo. But Tab would just drop knowledge.
Oh, at that time, Fergie wasn't in with us.
No, I toured with y'all and Fergie. Now I'm talking about when I toured with y'all.
Oh, yeah.
When I toured with y'all. But I remember he used to come down the steps dropping knowledge. You know, so I definitely want to shout him out. At Band Clan, how did you come up with that name?
Oh, that's like a Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang Clan sandwich.
At Band Clan, a Tribe Called Quest, Wu-Tang Clan, At Band Clan.
No, it's like, because the name At Band Clan stands for a tribe beyond a nation.
Right.
And then we like Wu-Tang Clan, so it's like a tribe beyond a nation clan. Actually, now that I realize
That's beautiful.
Wasn't that original?
Hey man, we all got to start somewhere. Now let's talk about the importance of dance, right? Because when I went on a tour with y'all, you know, y'all used to kill it dancing. Dancing has always been such a huge part of Black Eyed Peas. I feel like you took what like Far Side and Scheme Team and all this LA dance crews was doing and put it on a level where people could embrace it more. But tell me about how important dance is to Black Eyed Peas.
Tribal Nation was our dance crew. That's what I meant by like giving everybody rank. And Tribal Nation was like big in LA. LA, San Gabriel Valley, Sylmar, and the Van Nuys Valley, Palisades in the West Side, all the way down to like Long Beach and Irvine. Like people knew about Tribal Nation as the crew started to grow. And it was 2 rappers that was down with Grassroots. So Grassroots was the name of the umbrella, and in that umbrella there was like Tribal Nation, Divine Tribal Brothers, and a couple of MCs. I was one of the MCs in that Grassroots umbrella. We had musicians, singers, and it was like a bunch of like misfit kids. A lot of daddyless kids. Now that I look at it, we were all single parent kids. But dancing was like a way for us to go out and battle folks. And then I would get on the mic and rap against folks. And so when we started like yo, fuck it, let's do a new group after Eazy-E passed away, we was like, yo, let's incorporate everything from the entire crew. And that is like, yo, Tab, Tab's not like a battle lyric. He's not a lyricist like that. Taboo's just like the best taboo in the world.
The best taboo in the world, right?
Right?
I love that.
And Taboo is like, I don't care if we open up for Metallica. Taboo be like, all right, cool, this is what we're gonna do. And he'll get it, he'll just light fires and flames on stage. Not literal.
Right.
It's just as far as the energy that you need
He's bringing
to open up for Metallica. Or open up for Suicidal Tendencies. Or open up for, Blink 182. Or open up for
Tendencies, though.
Yeah, like we toured with Suicidal Tendencies.
Wow.
We opened up for Metallica. We toured with Metallica in Australia. And we always lean on Taboo's like energy, his magneticness to spark. And he took what used to be hype man into like full-fledged vocalist. Because at first Black Eyed Peas was just me and Apple. And then Taboo was like the Vinny or Flav.
Right.
And then he's like, nah. We're like, yo, why don't you like get on records? Because 911 was one of my favorite Public Enemy songs.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you hop on a record with us? And so then Tab started like, hopping on some songs on before we put out Behind the Front. But because that dance, like, all right, cool, like we're gonna have a section on this song, we're gonna break the beat down, and on this section we gonna all like get busy. And so we had a couple of records like that, like, yo, let's get busy, even not only on stage but on videos.
Right.
And that's what like separated the Black Eyed Peas from a lot of the folks that, especially out of LA. Like Jurassic 5 is dope, but they wasn't gonna like start busting on stage.
Right.
Like Dilated, my first song I ever recorded in my whole entire life. And I'm pretty sure Mike Peretta has the same thing.
That's evidence for all you newbies in the house.
So, Mike Peretta, he's always Mike Peretta to me.
Right.
My dream
What are
dude.
easy
We'd be dreaming on the phone together. Like, yo, man, one day. We always used to talk on the phone. He went to Lincoln High School. I went to Palisades High School, and the first song I recorded was called "Simple Song," produced by QD3.
Right.
And
who was his OG?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember like Evident. First, his name was, forgot what his rap name was before, but I remember the day he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna change my rap name to Evident."
Yeah.
I was like, "Evident? Nah, bro, Evidence. Evidence is better. Like evidence, bro."
Wow.
So you did that.
No. Yeah, but then only reason why I say that because he put it in a record.
Right.
I was never going to say that, but he put it in a record, and like that's like my dude. Like my heart will always have like a bond and a connection because like that was the first cat that I would talk to on the phone about like dreams of music and ditching school to go chill at Mike Peretta's crib.
Yeah.
And Alchemist. Like yeah, bro. Like those dudes are like a part of my like the seed.
It's the Step Brothers.
Yeah.
Shout out to Evan Al. Joints and Jams is such an incredible record. It's got that little grease thing going on. It's the jam. It's the jam. I want to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with Kim Hill. Because I've seen she was at a lot of those shows back in the day. She was a huge part of the Peas back then. And I've seen her in the press, like when y'all started getting really big, say very glowing and positive things about y'all, but also seen her having feelings and feeling negatively about the Peas. So I want to see what your relationship was like right now.
Kim Hill to me is like will always be my big sister. And I love Kim. I'll always love Kim. She has her emotions are her truth. And she has the right to feel how she feels. But then there's our trio's truth on why Kim decided not to be with us anymore. Like she decided. I remember the call. And that hurt. Why when she left. And then we had to figure out like, okay, how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna sing? How are we gonna go out there and perform without a melodic vocalist? So I had to change how I wrote songs so I could sing the choruses. Because that was like a real blow that when she didn't want to tour with us. We were going to Australia in 2000. We were going out there to do the Big Day Out tour. And but I always whatever and anything Kim ever needs, I'm always there for her. No matter the ups and downs, the things that we've had, our differences in the past. The past is the past. But I'm always a phone call away, and she knows that. But yeah, it's just family shit.
Well, shout out to Kim Hill. Let's talk about Bridging the Gap a little bit. The title track is crazy. BEP Empire with Primo. It's an amazing song. Cali to New York features De La Soul. And you have this like symbiotic relationship with De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Native Tongues. And thank you for having me on Like That, which is like a Native Tongue tribute record. And I grew up with Native Tongues just like you did.
I'm a son of Tip.
We all sons of Tip.
Pos.
We all sons of Pos, yeah. So tell me about, Native Tongue's influence on Black Eyed Peas. And you in particular.
Tribe Called Quest is like the mothership for me.
At Band Clan.
Yeah, they like the mothership for me. Like, it's the most perfect records from People's Instinctive Paths, the first album. Cause as big as a Tribe that I am.
Right, from Push It Along.
Yeah. Like, the first album is always, but then Low End Theory is my ultimate favorite. Out of all their records, Low End Theory is my favorite record. But as far as songs that I was envious of to like, I want to write songs like that is Saturdays. Right? Ring, 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 ha, ha, hey, hey.
Yeah.
Like, what? When I heard those records, I'm like, bro, app, listen to this chorus. The chorus is just as 5 days of work, 1 whole day to play.
Shout out to Vinny and Mojica.
Everybody, lay your roller skates away.
Saturday.
If you would be like, what's Black Eyed Peas recipe blueprint for international records that play in every single country in the world at any given time, birthday parties, weddings, bar mitzvah, I would say Saturdays.
A roller skating jam called Saturdays.
That record is, that recipe is the perfect recipe for, and then
and we were just
groove
talking about
is in
how
the
your
heart.
music just makes you have to get up and move. Like, you cannot stay still.
Yeah. Or Groove is in the Heart, D-Light featuring Q-Tip.
Feel like kind of high like a Hendrix phase.
Come on, bro. Like, that was like, oh, shuck.
That record fucked me up too.
Does anybody see this recipe? This is the...
Nah. Yeah.
That record. Or freaking Do It to the... Do it. Jungle Brothers version of it. Why don't you do it to the remix? To the music.
Yeah,
that one.
That's a deep cut right there.
Like, those records, those 3 records were like, bro, you see this recipe? This is everywhere music.
Feel good music.
Everywhere music,
bro. Because those records were different than Kwame's Only You.
Right.
Only You is a big everywhere.
Only You is a great record, but it's a record that when you hear it, you're like, that's what was happening in music at that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you have those Native Tongue everywhere
Timeless
records. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. At the time when the P started like blowing up a little bit, you started doing these BBE albums. And you did one, Dilla did one, P-Rock did one, and those albums were amazing. Just Blaze, who's does a show with UPROXX, asked me to ask you about Money on that Lost Change record and how you made that record. Good record.
One of the most talented bassists that I've ever had an opportunity to work with. His name is Mike Fratantuno. I've never worked with another bassist like Mike. Because Mike would be like, I got the part. Check this out. Like, that's just dope. Hold on. I got another part. Wait, that's the bass line. No. This part goes with that. I'm like, all right, cool. So he was like, do-do-doom, 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 doom, do-do-doom. All right, cool. I got it. All right, hold on. Punch me in again on a separate track. And then he'll be like, da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, to go in between the holes. Be like, all right, I need another third track. And he'll start playing the chords. I'm like, bro, what about the guitarist? He was like, oh, no. George will come up with a second, another part to counter my chord, but let's use these tones because you can't really a bass, you can't do a 3 chord. So he'll put 2 chords in on the bass. He'd be like, all right, now give me a second track so I can layer that track. Mike Frantuno. And so sometimes you produce, before I produced the song, I had to produce Mike Frantuno. So you produce Mike Frantuno, then be like, all right, cool, now let me write the song to it. So then, now that you filled up all the hoes, now I got to see the rest of the hoes. When you're making awesome instrumentals, a lot of times the musicians will fill up all the space for the vocals. So, but people like Mike Frantuno, you got to produce, because he's he plays the bass like a band. He's the guitarist, he's the bass player, he's the percussionist, just with the bass. And I'll program the drum on the MP, get all the sounds right. And then after that, then I have to figure out how to bring George into the mix on the guitar. And then after we do that, then I have to bring the horns. And then after I put it all together, then I got to write with the space that's left over. The money. Because I like that type of production. When all you have is a drum kit, no records, and some talented folks, and you got to make music just with the talent you have around you. And the only reason why you dig for records is to compare it to the records and the space and that you like.
Yeah.
And referencing, instead of sampling the records, you reference the space and how, what mic do you think they use, bro? Yo, they use the SM57. Are you sure they use the SM57 for everything? Yeah, bro. They had to use the SM57 for everything because they didn't have all these other crazy mics for this particular genre. So then you have to like use the limitations of like these types of mics to get these types of sounds. So Money and doing that whole Lost Change record to me was like, it taught me how to produce like on my own without, my big bro is Motivate. He's the one who taught me how to produce. But I always produce up under Motivate.
Right.
But Lost Change was like, this is me by myself. And the whole premise of Lost Change was I scored a film. We did this like Levi shoot. While we were doing the Levi shoot, these dudes was walking around with cameras filming in Vegas. I'm like, yo, what y'all filming? He was like, oh yeah, you're just a part of the photo campaign to a movie that we're doing. I was like, a movie? This is a movie? Why are we in a photo to a movie that we ain't even in?
Right.
They're like, no. Y'all are wearing the Levi's clothes to a Levi's film. I'm like, what's the name of the film? They said Lost Change. I was like, where's this film going to be shown at? On the internet. This is 2000. Like the internet? How motherfuckers going to watch a film on the internet?
Right.
Because it's dial-up. It's you got mail. Right. And you figure out like where to go see it at. I was like, yo, who's scoring it? They're like, we don't have no score. I was like, yo, let me score it. They're like, do you know how to score? I was like, yeah, man, I know how to score. Why don't you give it to me on VHS so I can like get the vibe of it?
I didn't know this.
And so I scored it. So the reason why the songs behave that way is because they're literally written to visuals.
It makes sense now when I think about how those songs are.
Yeah, because there's some parts that are just like instrumental, 3-minute instrumental, monologue, like bassalogues.
Yeah, it makes more sense now. That record makes more sense to me now.
Yeah, so then because Levi's paid for it, I owned it. The record company didn't own it. Somebody else funded me making this. So now I'm sitting on these masters. And so my manager, Seth, at the time was like, yo, there's this company out of London called Barely Breaking Even. Why don't we just give them these records to put out? I was like, yo, if you could figure that out, that shit'd be dope. I like that. I like the Pete Rock instrumentals. So we flew out to London, showed them the record. I own the record, the masters that Levi's paid for.
Wow.
Yeah, it endeared you to this community that was Jazzy Jeff did one.
Yep.
It endeared you. And for you and Jazzy Jeff in particular, Pete Rock was already kind of in that scene. You know, Dilla was in that scene. But for you and Jazzy Jeff, y'all were looked at by the scene at that time as more pop. And so it endeared y'all to that scene. Like, oh, okay, they one of us. Jazzy Jeff is one of us. will.i.am is one of us.
At that point in time, we say everybody has a different definition of pop. Mm-hmm. And at that time, in my head, we weren't pop yet.
Yeah, y'all were on your way because the Let's Get It Started was not out.
So even that, Let's Get It Started is not pop.
That's a pop era for Black Eyed Peas, though.
Nope. Pop is selling out stadiums.
I mean, come on. Now hold on. Now let's
It's
see.
a pop song.
will.i.am. You're talking to Talib Kweli here.
Yeah,
All right,
I know. But that ain't pop, though.
Listen, I know you performed in front of the fucking pyramids and shit, but listen, that
was
was pop.
No, that was popping.
Okay.
No, pop, like, you got to understand, like, I know how to make all those types of records, from whether it's like, yo, I need some really obscure that, or I need some boom bappy that, or I need some like Latin that. I need some.
Are you talking about a musical aesthetic at this point?
Out of all the types of music to make, pop is the hardest.
I understand that. I get that.
Because when you're making music for people that think like you, that's kind of easy. They think like you. Of course they're going to gravitate to it. If you got to make music for folks that don't give a fuck about what you think, they don't care about what you think, and you want them to vibe how you're vibing at that moment, that's absolutely so impossible.
Do you remember telling me this almost verbatim in a nightclub in Vancouver while we were on tour and you were talking about my humps?
Yeah, that's pop.
I remember this conversation. It was a loud nightclub and you were in my ear talking to me about pop music and how you write pop music.
Yeah, so my humps was like, I got this cousin. Mm-hmm. To me, my cousin is like, always like, I'm so proud of her. She's always been like a beautiful queen.
Mm-hmm. In the mirror, somehow she thick.
She's so like, and she would always be like, I'm like, how come you don't go out? Well, I don't like going out to no clubs in Hollywood. Why? Because niggas always grabbing on my wrists and shit. And I don't want to get in no fights with no niggas.
Right.
Like, I don't like people just grabbing on me, thinking they can just pull on me. And so I was like, oh shit, like I need to write a record like that.
Right.
From a growth perspective, like, don't pull on me.
Right.
Like, you ain't my man. Like, what the fuck you doing? And so my humps is written from the perspective of like thinking of what my cousin has to go through. She's beautiful.
Right.
And dudes just thinking they could just step up like, hey girl, hey shorty, get over here. Where you going, girl? Like, imagine if like you hot and that's what you got to go through just to go out.
And it don't be the wrist mostly.
It be them lady lumps.
It be the lady, my lovely lady lumps.
And so I originally wrote the song for Nicole.
Okay.
From Pussycat
Dolls.
Because she had a very unique relationship with you and the Black Eyed Peas at a certain point, right?
Yeah, that's who I wanted. That's who I wanted to be in the group in 2002.
Really?
Yeah. So I met her first, but her boyfriend was in a rock group named 311 at the time, and he was like, nah.
Shout out to 311. I was on tour with them at the time.
Well, it wasn't for
the Sprite
her,
Liquid Mix tour.
But who it was for is my girl Fergie. And let me just say, secretly I wanted to be a rocker, but not like a full punk rocker. But I feel like Fergie was like the type of rocker that I wanted to be like, that I wanted to dress like. So I was obsessed with her. What was the impact of Fergie joining the group? And can you take us into, as you were about to start, the early days of meeting Fergie?
So at first, OK Player used to be like, for me, from 2000, 1999, 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, that was like, I used to go to OK Player religiously. And I remember when we did, it says everything to do with Fergie, but I remember when we did a Dr. Pepper commercial. And I was like, oh man, like we about to blow up. They paying this amount of money. Yo, I'm about to move my mom out the projects with this freaking check. And then after when the commercial came out, we got slammed on okplayer.com. Like Black Eyed Peas.
Y'all made a lyric about that.
Y'all did a freaking Dr. Pepper commercial. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? They were like, y'all didn't do a Sprite commercial. Sprite's the hip hop drink.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
That's so stupid.
I'm like, because Edo G and the Bulldogs had a Sprite commercial. Grand Poobah did one. And so at that time, you know, Sprite kind of was the hip hop drink.
Right.
How crazy that might sound, right?
Right.
So when we did our Dr. Pepper commercial, they're like, y'all sold out. Y'all didn't do the Sprite. I'm like, what?
Right. Coke owns Dr. Pepper. Coke owns Sprite.
No, Dr. Pepper was its own.
It's independent.
And 7-Up was independent.
The Uncola.
But 7-Up is a black.
No, it's not. They just used to use black people.
So why
Yeah.
Sprite?
Remember
but
we had
not
Orlando
7-Up?
Jones on here talking about the old white man who owned 7-Up?
Okay, my question is, so why is Sprite the hip hop?
Because
soda
because
and not-
the
The
rappers
MCs did it, yeah.
The Tribe Called Quest, Grand Poobah, Pete Rock, and CL Smooth, hip hoppers that we considered underground at that time,
Yep.
were doing the Sprite commercials.
And so then I'm like, yo, Fife said, drink a lot of soda, said they call me Dr. Pepper, like, why y'all tripping?
Yep.
And
and
so,
Dr. Pepper's darker.
but then, yeah, and I'm like, and if you think about it,
What?
light skin, dark skin, like, Sprite's light skin drink, nigga, like,
What she just said?
like, why y'all tripping on a dark skin drink,
Why
nigga, like, oh, y'all like them light
Dark
skin
skin
drinks,
drink.
huh? Y'all like that Al B. Sure drink,
Was
right?
it
Y'all
Kid
like
and
that
Play?
Keith
It
Sweat
was
drink?
not.
Yo.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Y'all drink light skin drinks.
Come on, bro. Y'all tripping, bro.
Light skin drinks is not a style no more.
I think it was a comedian.
So
I listen. I say I like dark skin toast. I don't like the light skin toast. I like dark skin drinks.
feel me? So we did.
Not really, but continue.
So that really, like, at that point in time, I was like, fuck these rules.
Fuck these rules.
Fuck these rules. Like, what? These rules don't make no goddamn sense. You make it seem like they black people that own these companies.
It's not.
And why are you holding, like, I'm out. I can't live by these rules. I'm moving around out the projects with this Dr. Pepper shit. And we picked the director, Paul Hunter.
Shout out to Paul Hunter.
And we wrote the song. Like, they didn't
Right.
tell us what to do. We picked the director. We wrote the song. Like, why y'all? Okay, I'm done. And so from that point, I remember we would go to Philadelphia a lot. We would open up for the Roots. And there was this dude by the name of Jean Baptiste. Every time I would go to DC and Philly and the East Coast, Jean was like, yo,
Baptiste.
yo, what up, Jean? We in DC, let's hang out. Or we in Philly, you come into the show? Jean was the dude. And so I remember Jean came to see us at SOBs. I'm like, yo, Jean, I'm thinking about adding somebody to the crew. Is she gonna rock with us today? This was like March of 2003. We hadn't, Where's Love just came out. The song, but the video hadn't
Y'all call
come
the
out
CIA terrorists in that song.
yet. Yeah. So,
Super pop song. CIA is terrorists.
no, if you think about the lyrics, who else is gonna put the vitamin in the Twinkie?
Yeah, y'all was doing
Who? You could say as underground as you want, but as far as Where's the Love playing after 9/11, to say, you know, what's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mamas, even though that was a crime on the rhyme crime because I rhymed mama with mama. But it was okay.
That was a rhyme crime. Yes.
I was just. It's okay. It's a great song. So
It was a rhyme crime.
It was
It's
a rhyme
cool.
crime. Yes.
So
I'm the rhyme police. Woo!
I was actually just singing that song in the green room until Talib changed it because he didn't want to hear my voice.
That's not why I chose.
no, but think about it. It's like post 9/11 and playing all over every single radio in America, even in like flyover states in the South and in central, you know, Northeast. Overseas, yeah, we trying to stop terrorism, but we still got terrorists here living in the USA. The USA, the CIA, the Bloods and the Crips and the KKK. But if you only got love for your own race, then you only leave space to discriminate. That's playing through every single radio station.
Yeah.
Around the world.
That's very important. That's why I mentioned it.
So at the time, like, so back to 2002, I'm like, yo, Jean, I want you to check out this new girl we're going to add to the group. We think about it. So after the show, Jean's like, are you fucking crazy? What are you doing? I'm like, yo, Jean, bro, trust, bro. This is going to work. He was like, nah, Will, nah. I'm like, yo, Jean, watch. You'll see, bro. This just gonna work. I got it all figured out. Look, these are the kind of records we're gonna make, and we're gonna translate this sound to this audience. Macy Gray told me, like, people that look for you, not look like you. And this is gonna work. Everybody that's like us is getting dropped. At the time, they dropped Slum, they dropped J5, they dropped a lot of us. A lot of artists like us off of like major labels. I'm like, bro, look, I don't want to work at the thrift store, bro. I'm not trying to work at a record store. I'm not trying to work at Amoeba. I'm not trying to do any of the things that I know that I don't want to do. And this is going to work. The recipe is proven. Listen, bro, these records worked. And at the time, no one was doing that type of translating of those sounds and frequencies to anywhere outside of where those things came from. Is Saturday a pop record? That's a pop record.
Yeah.
It's just from De La. But if somebody else did that record, that's a pop-ass record.
Which is like that's what Groove Is in the Heart was.
Yeah, it's a poppy-ass record.
It's like somebody else doing that sound.
Yeah. Or like if you were to take Can't Keep Running Away today, that's a pop-ass record.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that you say the black people got on you for selling out, and you're like, I got y'all, fuck it, white woman.
No, I tell you why. One of the first rap records to me, Rapture.
Blondie.
And that's fuck it, white woman.
Yeah.
Fab Five
Freddy.
What?
Yeah.
What? That's not the first time you saw a dark skinned, crispy dude with a white girl.
Crispy. That's old school.
The first crispy dude with a white girl is Fab Five Freddy and Blondie.
Right.
But
and that's a hip hop classic.
That's before. We just have this memory loss within hip hop, but the only difference between Blondie and Fergie, and I'm not trying to compare that,
Debbie Harry,
I'm not trying to be blasphemous to say that Fergie is Blondie. No way is she. Blondie's like rock royalty. Fergie's Fergie. It's just the group that she came from is why it's tainted. The group that she came from is like...
You're talking about the group before she was in Black Eyed Peas. Which a lot of people don't know about that group.
She was in a pop singing group, and press and media, whether you know it or not, like at face value, subconsciously, she does come from that.
Yeah.
That's where she comes from. So that's what keeps her from being looked at like,
Fergie, when we were on the road together, she was so gracious and such a beautiful spirit and beautiful person. Definitely want to shout out Fergie. Definitely want to shout out Justin Timberlake, who I had a good working relationship with at that time.
Yeah. And Fergie, she's like one of the hardest working, fearless. Think about like what you have to endure.
Right.
Being thrown into something that already existed. And at the time, all the naysayers pulling at her. Like, what did you do to our group? You should have. And she weathered that. And we did some pretty massive shit.
Yeah.
Things that I never thought.
Biggest, things in the world, music-wise. Y'all definitely took it to the next level. Shout out to Prince.
What Prince?
No.
Or our Prince. Okay,
Your Prince.
Okay.
Definitely shout out to Prince, who I just posted a clip of 11-year-old Prince. Did you see that? Did you see that on my IG that I just floating around?
Yeah.
The 11-year-old Prince. Talking about
Yup.
But yeah, shout out to Prince, who works with Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, Prince Board. Yeah, Prince Board.
With the Z.
And I get them twisted all the time. After I worked with the Prince.
Right. You've worked with every Prince. At one point, I feel like you was a member of Strong Arm Steady because like the over 21, must be 21. You working with Feel the Agony, Kron Don, Planet Asia. That's my crew. You know what I'm saying? So
Kron
definitely
Don, Taliban stunt when the camera on. Yeah, that dude is like.
Shout out to that whole crew.
Planet Asia is like one of my favorite rappers.
That's who I want to be when I grow up.
Oh.
Planet Asia is like. I remember one time I was like, we were working on Must Be 21. And we were just talking about MCs and different crews. And I'm like, no, Planet, like, Asia, you just need to go at it harder. Like, Planet Asia to me is like every rapper's rapper.
Yeah.
And I vouch for that because he's one of my favorite rappers. Like the sickest, the illest. And Fly Styles, who a lot of people in the pop world know him as a choreographer. Fly Styles is like awesome as well. Crondon, I've known since we was teenagers.
Yeah.
Like way before, like I've known Crondon. I think we went to the same church. Greater Bethany. Feel the Agony. Working with those cats was like, you know, West Coast royalty to me.
You mentioned OK Player earlier, and I sort of had some bars dissing that sort of elitist, pretentious community in the OK Player like boards on Get 'Em High about me and Kanye West. You had a theory about Get 'Em High that you shared with me. I wanted to know if you wanted to share it on the show.
Oh, shit. All the time it's time to talk about, I feel conflicted like a lot of people. And the confliction is because I know Kanye personally, he's different than the person that he broadcasts. The broadcasting of Kanye is different than the actual Kanye that you sit and talk to and the sensitive one. And so when these two things exist in the world, the broadcast hurts the one that you like, yo, that's my dude. And so one of the things that hurt me on the Drink Champs was when he said, I use them. That really like hurt. I'm like, what? One, Talib was like, I feel like if we was in high school, we would be like, we could have went to high school together. We would have been like dream kids together, like dreaming up, like, yo, this is what, imagine all the things we can accomplish, like 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Like, we would have all been the same way we are now as adults, we would have been as teenagers if we knew each other then. And so when he said that, that hurt my feelings. Because Mos Def, that's another one, like, person that is dear to me. And so I took that personal, and I'm not even y'all niggas. I'm like, what? Why the fuck would he do that? And then you hear Get 'Em High. And when you listen to Get 'Em High, turns out maybe that was, hold on, let me see. Get 'Em High. If you go in, right, go to the lyric, and I'm screenshotting this shit when I'm on my hike.
Yeah,
and
you
I'm
sent
like,
it to me.
yo, Talib.
On your hike.
I'm on a hike taking screenshots like, yo, did you peep the freaking lyrics, bro? Turns out this nigga was. And he freaking like, there's evidence in the motherfucking record, my nigga. Like, and this shit is hilarious, bro. I'm like, holy fucking shit knuckles, nigga.
Shit knuckles.
Yeah, shit knuckles is like.
That's what happens when I change my baby's diaper.
No, like you. Yeah,
oh, shit knuckles.
Hold on, Pete, look.
I'm so shy that you thought I was bashful, but
Okay, hold on. That's actually true. The dude is shy.
He is shy. You thought he was
all
bashful?
the girls pass the weed to your motherfucking man.
Here goes.
If you're losing your high. Now who the hell is this? Emailing me at 11:26, telling me that she 3626 plus double D. You know girls on Black Planet B when they get bubbly at NYU, but she hailed from Kansas. Right now she just lamping, chilling on campus. Sent me a picture with a feeling on Candace, who said her favorite rapper was the late great Francis. WHIT, it's getting late, mommy. Your screensaver say tweet, so you got to call me and bring a friend for my friend. His name Kweli.
You mean Talib, lyrics stick to your rib. I mean, that's my favorite CD that I play in my crib. I mean, you don't really know him. Why is you lying?
Your cry, she don't believe me. Please pick up the line.
That there is proof of use. I'm using
For
you.
vagina.
because it said here, like, you don't really know Kweli. Why you lying? Yo, Kweli, why don't you pick up the line, bro? Hold on, wait.
You got him laid.
Hold on. Hold on.
Your cry, she don't believe me. Please pick up the line. She gon' think that I'm lying. Just spit a couple of lines. Then maybe I'll be able to give a dick all the time and get her high.
Boom. So if he then goes on Drink Shot and be like, yo, I used that nigga. Actually, nigga is proof.
He told you.
He said it on the motherfucking record, bro. bro. And then you come back like with this.
I can't believe this nigga used my name for picking.
Oh shit, my
That was
dude.
the lightest fall
What
I've
the
ever
fuck,
seen.
bro?
Oh shit. Yo. Yeah, man.
Did you get that, Theo?
And so that, cause I'm like, wow, bro. Like, and then I wasn't hurt no more.
Right. Because he was honest.
Cause he was honest since the whole damn.
He's telling you on his debut album, I'm using these niggas.
Yeah.
To get some ass.
3626 is some nice numbers too. So
Because
Hey, man, she was feeling on Candace and everything. I would have did the same thing.
And then when you see, the,
She was at NYU feeling on Candace.
I love me some Candace.
and then when you see, when you see the doc,
yeah.
and when you see the doc connected to the Drink Champs, and you listen to the lyrics of this song, it all makes sense, and it isn't as malicious as it sounded on Drink Champs,
Right.
Because without this lyric and without the doc, it sounded like draconian leech nigga type shit. Like I'm just leeching on you and I'm using you and I really don't care about you. Fuck you. I just did this trickery.
He had the grin of ha ha ha. I'm using them.
But when I under this umbrella, it's light, and I'm like, at least that's poetically what I'm telling myself.
That's hilarious, bro. That's hilarious. I had a hearty laugh when you sent me that.
But I will say, I didn't take it as he was being a vampire, leechy, whatever. I felt like he was just upset that Talib was saying this
It's
stuff
all of
about
that.
Trump.
It's that too.
So I never thought that he was like maliciously like being
Well, I mean, to keep it a buck.
energy
No,
sucker.
there's a lot of people out there that took it that way.
Well, yes. Yeah.
I mean, to keep it a buck, look, when he said that, he was asked by Nori to compare me to Common. And Common is an amazing, fantastic MC. If you're like, yo, I like Common better than Kweli, how am I going to be offended by that? Because at one point, Common was my favorite MC. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I would not be offended by that. But when he said Common is 1,000 times, I'm like, well, no nigga's 1,000 times better than me. You know what I'm saying? But when I met Kanye, he came to my studio session looking for Yasin Bey. It was me who asked him to go on tour with me. So when he says, I wasn't really a fan of his and I was just trying to use or gain access, when I think back to that time, yeah, it's not like you came to my studio session looking for me. When I got the Get By beat, it wasn't like he's like, oh yes, OG, I'm gonna give you this beat. He was like, I'm not sure. I had to like ask for that beat over and over again. I didn't just get that beat. Cause he was like, yo, I want to give that beat to Pharoah Monch. I'm gonna give that beat to Mariah Carey. It's what he told me back then. So when I think about in the context of all that, I think like, yeah, okay, like you understood that I was, if you want to be a real MC in that era, you needed validation from an MC like me. You understood that my stage was valuable, but you weren't like checking for me. You were more checking for the people I was around, and that's fair. I'm honestly not upset by that because he gave me Get By, and because I took him on the road, and then he took me on the road later on, which definitely helped my career. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's all.
And at the end of the day, shout out to Cootie because the proof is in the video. Like
Cootie did a great job.
You can't lie from the footage.
You know what I really like about Cootie's?
The narrating?
The narrating. Because when I was with Kanye.
I do.
Real Chicago.
But just the tone, like, I just love, I want him to
Shit, I used to be a comedian.
Nah, at first I was like, what the fuck is this voice? And then I was like, I like this voice. I like this voice a lot.
It's dope. It's really, really dope. Like, I care about Ye a lot. Like,
We all do. That's why we talk about him so often.
and I've known Ye for like ever.
Ever?
Not ever, but I've known him for a really long time. Like, when we were in the studio at Record Plant that night of the car accident. And I introduced him to Taz Arnold, who really like...
Sour Rock Collective.
And I've known Taz forever, like just growing up in LA weirdos. And introduced Ye to Elon Musk. But he's a sweetheart.
Right.
I think that's the reason why people like root for him because there's a genuine sweetheart there.
Yeah.
It's just like any younger brother that, spazzy.
So anyway, your song, one of the biggest songs in music history, Let's Get It Started. The original version is not streaming.
Yeah, Wade took it off.
It's a lost track.
No, one day I woke up. I don't know if it's active. It's gone, right?
Yeah, we couldn't find it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was internal. I'm like, yo, you got to take that off now. There was a song by Easy Mo B. Is it Easy Mo B?
Shout out to Easy Mo B. Icon.
It's just when it's MCEZ.
Okay.
For Craig Mack song.
Did Easy Mo B produce it?
No, I had the wrong Easy. This was the inspiration to our song, which is now Let's Get It Started.
Right.
Once again, on the B-side is the most delightful sound. Diamond J-E-Z. Yo, so funky, so funky.
So. I remember that. Wow.
I like the old school, but I'm foreseeing the future like a gypsy. From here to the kissy, spin around in a circle, not get dizzy, but get busy. The Brentwood Town shippings, gonna move your headband. I ain't finished, so please shut your lip band. Listen to what you day. May sound like a cliche, but like Frank Sinatra, I'ma do it my way. So there's my funky intro. I have started, now Jay get on the cut, so I can get retarded.
I've always liked that title. But that song, the word retard means to slow down. But in our record, because I knew then that maybe it could be taken the wrong way, the lyric, the first verse goes like this. In this context, there's no disrespect. So when I bust my rhyme, you break your neck. We got 5 minutes for us to disconnect from all intellect and let the rhythm affect us to lose our inhibition, follow your intuition, free your inner self and break away from tradition. Cause when we be out, girlies pull a weave out and you wouldn't believe how we wow shit out. We turn it till it's turned out, burn it till it's burned out. Rock out from northwest, east, south. That whole point of the record was like, yo, let's just lose our inhibitions. Let's slow down our intellect and fucking like get wild. And then when we were it's crazy that lyric was written for Must Be 21. So Must Be 21, after I'd figured out a way to do things for brands and keep creative control, I then did Must Be 21. And Must Be 21 was for a Coors brand. I was like, yo, I'm going to do a soundtrack to your beer. Because at first I wanted to do a soundtrack to Jamal Anderson's feet. He was like, well, what the fuck you talking about? Soundtrack to my feet. I was like, think about it, Jamal. You about to go start the new Atlanta Falcons season. How many weeks do you guys train? He was like, about 12 weeks. Exactly. I'm going to score every single week. And I'll make 12 songs to your feet, which will then probably get a shoe deal, and you're going to sell the record at Foot Locker.
Wow.
Come on, bro. We got to figure out different ways to put music out. This was back in 2002. And then Jamal Anderson breaks his, he got hurt. So I was like, yo, I need to do a soundtrack to something. So we flew out to Colorado. I pitched to Coors. I want to do a soundtrack to your beer. So then there was like, we're not in the music industry. I was like, well, you guys actually are, because every time I go to a bar, they're playing music. You just don't realize you're in the industry because you cannot have a bar without music.
Right.
And so they were like, okay, we love the pitch. I was like, yo, why don't you just give me a bag of money? Give me a bag of
jewels and gems, people.
Give me a bag of money, and I'm gonna go get my favorite MCs, and I'm gonna pay them, and we're gonna make a record. We're the creative controllers. And so we did Must Be 21, right? Because you have to be 21 to drink alcohol.
Right.
So I got Planet Asia, Fly Styles, Supernat, KRS One.
You got Tash from the Alcoholics.
Tash from the Alcoholics.
Of course.
And there was this one song, they were like, the name of our campaign is they want to be the party starters. I was like, I don't know. you guys are promoting drunk driving. If you guys are starting a party, you want to end the party. They're like, what do you mean end the party? I was like, think about it. Y'all seen the freaking Pastor Cavassier commercial?
Think about it.
Pastor Cavassier.
Pastor Cavassier, they under the table drinking Cavassier. And last time I checked, I don't think Cavassier called up Pharrell and them to do their song. They just did it.
I think.
And when was Cavassier ever tasty?
I think Busta had a situation with Cavassier. I could be wrong about that.
But was that after?
I think it was
before the
before.
song?
I think it was made with Cavassier in mind. Somebody got a bag ahead of time. I think.
Everybody
I could be
say
wrong
it
about that.
now.
So, anyways, my pitch worked. They gave me a bag of money.
Right.
And Let's Get It Started was the thing. But it didn't work. Get the party started. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Get this started now. Then we had Let's Get Retarded. Then NBA's like, yo, we like that song. We want you to turn to Let's Get Started. I was like, funny you should say.
Funny you should
That's
say
how it
that.
started.
That's exactly what it was.
I was on the road with you at that time.
Wow.
I remember this happening.
Yeah, so like but then as time moved on, I'm like, I called my folks. I'm like, yo, we live in sensitive times and it's gonna happen anyways. So let's make it happen now. We should take it off. We should take it down from streaming because people don't even know us for that record. They only know Let's Get It Started. They don't know the other version. So it ain't like they checking for it. And it's in these sensitive times, it's the most sensible thing to do.
Yeah, it's like an asterisk. If you could remove the asterisk, why not remove the asterisk?
Oh, yo, bro. What the fuck is asterisk?
It's like a baseball player who's on steroids who hits a bunch of home runs and then they put an asterisk next to his name.
Oh, okay.
And it's also if you like spell something wrong in a text message and you want to like correct it, then you put the asterisk around it for the correction of the spelling.
I thought it was like, a fancy way of like saying like ass.
No, but I love the way you approach asking me about it. Yo, bro, what's an asterisk?
No, listen, I like to spun shit up.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to ask, like, yo, what the fuck does that mean?
Right. That's why you're in the position you're
Yo,
in.
what's that? Yo, can you explain what that is? Because then, these are one of those nuggets that I probably will never ever use because asterisk is that how you say it in past tense?
Yeah.
Asterisks.
Asterisks.
I don't think asterisks are needed with today's technology.
I understand.
Well, if you misspell a word, it is needed.
Not a new technology where you could just say like, yo, fix that, and it fixes it.
Well, no, it's like Math Hoffa, Math Hoffa has a podcast, and they asked me about ghostwriting. And can someone who has ghostwriters be considered a GOAT of MCing?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just should get some writing. But
yo, let me tell y'all, bro, nigga, I'm a GOAT asteriskly.
So I'm going to assume that you heard my opening line and I'm not going to get a record deal from my Let's Get It Started.
Say what?
Oh, so you just didn't hear it. It's all right. I'll audition again later.
Oh, you was trying to audition for a record deal.
Man.
My question to you is, why do you need a record deal nowadays?
Listen, you know what? I'm just trying to get these bills paid so I don't have to go in the corner. So,
Steven Soderbergh just did his last movie all on an iPhone. Right, Steve? Why are we not doing iPhone movies at this point?
Turns out, maybe 2023, instead of having these cameras up, you're just going to have iPhone cameras.
Well, that's what we did during the pandemic.
I like it.
How did you come to work with Intel in predicting trends?
In 2008, I went to this conference and they were talking about, how every single person plays a role in our environment and global warming. After I left that conference, I felt like, wow, that was like a really deep it was like a TED Talk. Mm-hmm. I'm like, fuck, like we all play a role in this shit? And so Black Eyed Peas, we had this big stadium tour in Costa Rica. And usually after these stadium tours, you do quick outs. Like you do a crowd fake, you think like, make the crowd think you're coming back. And you hop in the car and you bone out. And when that happens, you have to stay in the venue for an extra hour and a half.
Oh.
And so that means we missed our party. So we have a paid like party after party. And so we had to call the promoter and tell the promoter to come back to the venue, and we'll have the party at the venue. Because when you do big concerts like that, leaving the venues of traffic, there's no traffic coming this way. So had we waited an hour and a half, we would have got to the venue and not 2 hours later, 3 hours later, and we would have missed our after party.
Right.
So we told them to come and meet us and we could party at the venue. While we were partying at the venue, I saw this sea of trash. And I remembered the TED Talk that I went to saying that how we all play a role in contributing to global warming. And I remembered, you know, before every show, when you go on tour, you have your like admin meeting. Like, how are we going to do this tour different from last year? Like, how do we make more money than the last tour that we did last year? And I remembered that we did not talk about giving people directions on where to put their trash. So I was like, wow, that means we could have directed people on what to do with how to dispose of their trash. I was like, they're right. We do play a role in this shit. So we continued to tour, and I came up with this concept called, a friend of mine was like, yo, Google that. Yo, do y'all realize that Google, I never seen no Google commercial or no Twitter commercial, but yet we use them as verbs in our fucking language every fucking day to, yo, tweet that. Yo, Google that. And when you have companies that become verbs in society, they don't have to spend marketing dollars to market their companies. We doing it ourselves. It's like Kleenex. You got any Kleenex?
Right, Q-tips.
You got Q-tips?
Now, Q-tips.
That's a company.
What else do you use?
Cotton swabs.
They're cotton swabs.
From CVS.
No, because the brand is Q-tip.
Right.
Yeah.
But before Q-tip, there were always cotton swabs with sticks on it. Before Kleenex, there were always tissue. Before Pampers, there were always Pampers.
Right.
But
Pampers is it.
Diapers.
No, and it's the same thing with the metaverse. No, there was always a metaverse before Meta.
Yeah.
You're giving, we'll talk about metaverse later, but back to Coca-Cola, back to Intel, which is connected to Coca-Cola. So I'm like, yo, verbs, ooh, shit, I need to come up with companies, names that could be verbs and then pitch them to companies. Oh, shit. Because there's marketing and then there's communitying. Because marketing is when you only pay attention to the marketplace, and you could get so good at marketing that you are responsible for the community being obese because you marketed so well. You could get so good at marketing that the community alters because you marketed so well, but you really don't give a fuck about the nature or the success of the community as a whole. You just only care about the marketplace.
Right.
Which means that companies should be pushed to care about the conditions of the community, to go from marketing, caring about the marketplace, to the community, to be communitying, not marketing.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, if I could like come up with some verbs for companies that they should be and pitch them to companies, ain't nobody doing that shit. So I was like, yo, Coke, reverse is eco-C for eco-consumption, eco-creativity, eco-collaboration, eco-cycle, eco-concept, eco-centers. So I made this deck. I went to Kinko's, used fucking recycled paper, fucking did it all on Photoshop with my homeboy Eddie Axley in my art department. And then when we had a meeting, a concert in Atlanta, I waved the flag to a friend of mine named B. Perez to connect me with Muhtar Kent, who was the CEO of Coca-Cola at the time, and pitched him this idea. They went for it. They were like, yo, we love this idea. We love for you to spearhead it. And the whole premise was like, I was like, yo, Muhtar, companies like Coke should be verbs in society. If you don't believe me, Google it. He was like, yo.
That's a great pitch.
What do you think our verb should be? I was like, eco-cycle. You're going to take your byproduct, create a new base cloth, and license it to other companies to execute their sustainability efforts. So Beats, EcoCycle headphones, Levi, EcoCycle jeans. You guys are the verb and the technology to turn waste into something that is not wasteful. And so we did that. And so then Intel was like, yo, what could you do for us? We heard that you pitched that concept to Coke to create their sustainability efforts. What could you do for Intel? So I was like, yo, what is your hurdle? Tell me your hurdle. I could help you. I could think of ways to jump over it, go through it, go around it, go under it, go over it. They're like, well, we are responsible for ARM and AMD making mobile chipsets. So now they're speaking Chinese because I don't know who ARM is. I don't know who AMD is. So fearlessly, I'm like, yo, what does that mean? You got to be fearless if you don't know something. A lot of times people trying to play too cool. Like, yo, you understand that? Yeah, you don't understand that shit.
Right.
It's okay to ask, like, yo, I don't get that. I need you to break it down for me.
Yes.
So then they're like, AMD is a chipset. When we thought that computers were only going to be in desktops and laptops, AMD and ARM came in, and they made mobile chipsets. It's the reason why most smartphones don't have Intel chips in it, because Intel didn't think that computers would be mobile. So I was like, oh, okay, so you guys want to get into the mobile handset computing business. So why don't you just make chipsets? They're like, well, because to have a chipset, you need an operating system for it to be married to. And most operating systems are already married to AMD and ARM. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, why don't you make a chipset and have an operating system made for the urban community? Like Beats, but allow somebody to go to market with a new platform on a new chipset for phones that are sold at like Boost Mobile or,
Metro
PC and shit like that. Or MVNO. MVNO is a mobile virtual network operator. Like Boost Mobile is an MVNO. It uses somebody else's satellite, somebody else's spectrum. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we love your thinking. Why don't you sit in our Futurist department? I'm like, oh, what the hell is a Futurist department? It was like, well, there's more people that think the way you think, and that's around corners, fearless about coming up with ideas, and it's like a creative incubation arm with inside Intel, and you'll get a kick out of it. There's other folks that are anthropologists and folks that go out there and research new technologies, people that study human behavior, and you coming from the creative angle will be awesome in our group. And so I did it. They paid buku money.
Buku. I hear that word from my friends, but I have not heard it from like outsiders.
No, like insane amounts. Not bags, buckets. And so my whole deliverables was to go to Portland. I think I had like 6 work days a year, every quarter, sometimes twice a quarter, and sit in the Futurist department, and like they'll bring out problems, and you work in a group to help them solve these problems. But that was connected to like, I don't think I would have had that way of thinking if I didn't do brand work, like working with Shy Day and Ogilvy and Young and Rubicon, because that Dr. Pepper commercial that I did, when I bought my mom a house with that Dr. Pepper's money, I then had to figure out how I'm gonna pay my mom's mortgage. And so how I paid my mom's mortgage was I used to fly up to San Francisco and Chicago to sit in think tanks for these agencies, ad agencies, just in case folks think that I'm,
an agent.
What agency you talking about? Nah, bro, you read too many conspiracy theories, bro. Ad agencies. From 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, I sat and worked in these ad agency think tanks. And the rule when you work in these think tanks is that if you say no to something, you have to give them 5 reasons why you're saying no. If you say yes to something, you have to give them 6 or 8 reasons why you're saying yes. And it has to be like debate class type of reasoning. Like,
sounds right up my alley.
I love debate class.
Like, here's the reason why I don't like this thing. 1, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 2, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 3, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And 4, so forth, and 5. And those types of meetings really like guided my approach to getting Black Eyed Peas to go from here to there. Because then I just applied that shit to Black Eyed Peas.
That's crazy.
So I'm taking business classes, and that's literally every class we take, I'm just like, okay, I'm the brand. Like, how do I take what I'm learning in these classes and elevate me to the next level? And also, you keep talking about pitching and going and telling your ideas. Were you feel like you were just like born with this courage to just like speak your mind, or did something happen to where you developed that quality?
is battle rapping.
It's battle rap.
So battle rap, you don't got any time. When you're freestyling, you cannot show anybody your crutches.
Mm-hmm.
If you say when I'm on the mic, then that means you nigga, I see your crutch, bro.
Right.
You have to have like unnoticeable crutches or little fillers. And if you one of them type of battle rappers that are like, nigga, you wrote all them punchlines, bro. Those shits ain't on the spot. And then the folks that are on the spot are the cats are like, my dude with the red shoes, giving me blues. I see you with the blue. Like, no, bro. You just pointing shits out. A real true MC freestyling like Supernatural's like one of my like, yo, bro, I can't see none of his crutches. I don't see any of his like arsenal of punchlines. He's like the ultimate freestyle cat in the fucking world.
We all just saw him at Smoking Grooves. Fucking killing.
You were there. You came out on stage. And thank you for coming out on stage with me, by the way.
Man, that was like,
with the 6
seeing
shades.
Soup was like, every time I see him, I'm like, I can't see any of his crutches. I can't see any. He gives no residue of like, this was a bag of punchlines that he's just rejiggering, and I'm gonna catch him in one city, and I'm gonna hear the same shit that he did in the other city.
Leon Mobley is in the back shaking his head. You've toured with Supernat before, right?
Yes.
And did you ever go on the reggae cruise with him?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Definitely. And I mean, same thing. Would never be the same thing. And he would definitely be straight off the top.
Yeah. That means the person's brain is moving so fast to pull all types of similes, metaphors, and rhyme them in this block of time that gravity is crunching that person to deliver it at this point. That brain, if you want to analyze it, is like duck's feet on a lake. You see a fucking duck, you think that motherfucker's just chilling bored. Like you look under that this nigga's legs is like fast as fuck, bro.
Yes, indeed.
And you don't see not one feather fucking moving. You don't see like this nigga's just like paddling fuck ass fast, and this dude is just in chill mode.
Yes.
You apply that same fucking mind matrix to pitching. The same fearlessness to get up.
Fearlessness.
And when somebody's battling you, humiliating you, and you just gathering up the person's style and you flip that person's style on them better than them.
Yeah.
And if you could do that to an MC, a business exec is not as quick witty as that freestyle person.
Yes.
If you can handle battles where dudes is coming at you or girls coming at you, annihilating you, then bro, like going head to head with a marketing agent at a company actually ain't that hard.
That's beautiful. What is my great question, Jazz?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Wrote it myself.
All right, so now we're gonna get to the harder matter of why I have you here.
Oh shit, about to get harder?
Yes. I set up this interview because I wanted to prove a point.
Oh gosh.
For myself. That's right. Now, you were just talking about how you were working with Intel and helping them, navigate things and predict trends and this and that. And you have the first and only song transmitted live from Mars. De La Soul was sued for a song called Transmitting Live from Mars, and you actually did it.
Oh shit, I know, huh?
Right? When I saw Just Blaze, he said, yo, you drove here in the Tesla that you built. You built a DeLorean called the DeLorean. You have been referred to as a futurist. You wrote a book with Brian David Johnson called Wizards and Robots that's about the future. So my theory is that you are actually a time traveler from the future. From the year 2031, I've pinpointed the year.
2031?
Yes. And the burden of proof is on me, right? Because
How did you get to the year? I want to know.
Because one day I had a conversation with Will. He called me. We talking about some stuff. And you talked about what things were going to be like in 2031. And you were talking about this time as if it was the past. And I caught you. I was like, yo, this guy's really from 2031.
And what did he say in the trailer at Smoking Grooves?
You did say some future ass shit in the trailer.
No. You said.
I said, are you from the future? You said, duh. So I caught you, right? You from the future. You walk backwards like Tenet.
Take the word future away and replace it with design. So am I from the design? Do I understand the design as it's being designed now? Yeah. I see where this goes. It can't go
chills.
any other way but the way that it's going. But you have an ability to if we don't have more folks adding to the design can only go one way. And that's the reason why I'm super adamant about inner city kids being a part of the design.
Yeah.
Because if they're not a part of the design ends up the way we are now.
That's
because this design started in the one that we're in now started in 1922. This design that we're in now started in 1822, 1622, right? It's always technology. Whether a ship is a piece of technology that ships people from that side of the Atlantic to this side of the Atlantic, or the ship is like airplanes and being able to mine aluminum. So without mining aluminum, we could not have airplanes because you can't have an airplane made out of steel. You can't cross the Atlantic with an airplane made out of wood. You need aluminum. Now we have these robust plastics or carbon fibers. But here we are at the dawn of a brand new industrial revolution. And this industrial revolution is like every single industrial revolution. It renders jobs obsolete.
That's right.
Like imagine if this was like 1922 and somebody was like, yo, y'all seen Ford shit?
Right.
And motherfuckers like, you mean that machine without the horse?
Right.
Yeah, nigga, that shit. And dude was like, I don't know if I want to, my family's been in the horse and buggy for like 2,000 years. What do you mean 2,000 years? Yeah, bro. 2,000 years, man. Like my homie, he been making fucking horse and buggies for the Egyptians and shit, nigga. Cause them fucking horse and buggies has been for like forever, bro.
Right.
And then,
Bro.
and then
Sorry.
a car comes out of nowhere, bro.
Right.
It changed the whole configuration of mobility. What do you mean
Right.
you don't need no horse to pull this shit? Nah, bro, you don't need no horse, bro. It's just this engine. We call it horsepower. Get the fuck out of here,
Get
bro.
the fuck out of here.
And so we are in this new industrial revolution. And before it was like guy on a carriage, horse pulling it. Then move the horse, guy in the carriage with the machine, guy navigating the machine. Now, move the dude out the way. Now just machine with intelligence moving the machine. We weren't a part of the vehicle conversation. That's not our IP. Matter of fact, we got Hyundai, that new fucking electric Hyundai. Kia is fucking awesome. We got Toyotas. We got Nissans. We got Hondas. We got Mercedes. We got Ferraris. We got Volkswagens. We have Audis. What? How come there's no automobile from our community that's ours? There's no automobile from Nigeria.
Yugoslavia
Ghana,
had a fucking Yugo.
right? Where's our vehicle?
Yeah.
Right? I pull a roof out of Maybach. Like we sing about a song, rap about a song,
But we
do
don't
all
own it.
types
Yeah,
of shit.
Rick Ross got a company called Maybach Music, and he made a song called Aston Martin Music. I was so confused.
Talib, stop it right
No,
now.
I'm just saying, like, why don't we dream
No,
that
but
big?
seriously. I mean, the dreams are getting there, though.
No, you're right.
No, so on My Friend the Future, actually, to know the future, you got to understand the past. And you have to see the pattern. And spotting that pattern of how things are and how things come to be and who funds what and who the VCs are, who's always been the VCs and where the finances come from, who is the person that say like, yo, fuck this bartering. You ain't gonna trade this freaking sheep for that rice anymore. Hey, I need you to pay with the
Currency, yeah.
I need you to put.
Who's
pay with
determining what it's worth?
right?
Whose
this
system
coin
are
with
we
my-
living under?
Here's the
Yeah.
coin with my auntie's face on it. All right, and
That's exactly what it is.
from this
Literally.
point on, when you exchange it, I'm gonna tax you for you to even trade with this. Like what? Because you can't tax nobody. Yes, yes, you could tax folks when you like. I need half of your barley. I need half of your eggs. I need half of your wool. They did that type of taxing back in the day. But now here we are in this whole new world. And just like it switched from bartering to coins, and the coins were backed by some type of natural resource, and then for some reason It's not
Doesn't
backed by
matter.
gold.
Yeah.
It's not backed by silver. It's just backed by debt. Here we are with a new currency switch.
Yep.
Like, you mining crypto, bro? Now, crypto is the new, is going to become the new form. And when that happens, there's going to be a dip. At some point in time, there's going to be a collapse, just like 2008 was a collapse.
Yeah.
Just like there's always going to be a shift. And just like every currency that needs to be validated, art is part of its validation. So when it switched from like bartering and the art renaissance, art was used to validate that painting or exchange of currency and wealth and worth, dictated by the elite. And it's the same thing happening now with NFTs and the crypto space. And that's a beautiful thing we're seeing emerge in front of our eyes, is that this new type of value system that's built on decentralization with these awesome elliptical curve encryptions. Those things are cool, but at some point in time, it will unstable to stabilize. And so do I see the future? I see a version of it, and we're not going to like it if we are not a part of the design. Because right now, we are not designing it.
See, what you said is so powerful, and I'm with you, but then you got on that hat and them clothes, and I'm like, no, nigga, you from the future.
No. This is the past, nigga. I bought this piece of Miyake like 4 years ago.
You know what's crazy though? When I moved to LA, what piqued my interest, because you were talking about the barter system, is the barter system. That system, that's what like intrigued me about LA, because I came here and for my first year, I got shit from cooking. I got improv classes from cooking. I got comedy knowledge from cooking. I got hairstyles from cooking. And I was just like, why the fuck we don't still have the barter system?
No, we actually do have that. For example, I make music and people say yes to my music. And because people say yes to listen to my music, when I go on that airplane, people say yes for me to sit first class. When I go to that hotel, people say yes for me to stay there. And I have this little card that represents my yeses.
It's like the favor bank in The Alchemist.
Yeah. So if you think about, our currency is based on yes and no's. And when people get canceled, they're saying no.
Yeah.
So now at one step, so if you break down cancel culture, it's like actually putting value on a group of no's to the system that is put in place for the yeses.
Yeah.
And
exactly right.
and the reason why I look at it that way is because it gives you more responsibility on how to continue to do in society to where you could contribute and solve problems. And when you're like purpose-based, like somebody was like, yo, let's go to this club. Like I got to think about, do I want to be in a club more? I don't know. I don't want to be in a club anymore because it doesn't really connect to where I want to go next. Like there's nothing else for me to accomplish from going to clubs.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same exact way, and I'm coming from I used to be in a club. I used to be in a club. Every club.
You was just in a club with me a couple of weeks ago.
Right, and it was ratchet as fuck, and I was like, I gotta go. But to go back to what you were saying about the Futurist, I've always said that if you are observe enough, if you use your skills of observation enough, people will accuse you of seeing the future. If you pay enough attention to what's happening now, start to notice the patterns and the designs, people will say you can see the future. So you're exactly right. I want to thank you for making two of my favorite records that I've ever made, Say Something and Hot Thing. These are staples in my career. Around that time, you were stretching your wings. You were producing for like Nas, The Game, me, and like Hillary Duff. You know what I'm saying? So it was
Shout out Hillary Duff.
Was it Hillary Duff?
Lizzie McGuire.
What did you produce for Hillary Duff?
I don't even remember that.
Probably. I don't know. But what is Googling it? Google that.
I swear to God, right?
But Mike, while you looked that up, my question is it difficult to give each artist a unique sound? Like I heard you on one of those daytime talk shows. You were talking about writing for women. and how you have to put yourself in a woman's mentality. Is that a difficult thing for you to be somebody else and write for somebody else?
When you remove your like ego, when you're in the studio, and your whole premise is like, it's like a chef. A chef cooks for people to eat the food that they and you want them to enjoy what you've cooked. And then there's cooking for you.
Right.
And when you're cooking for you, you approach cooking for you differently than
Just
you
your
cook
taste
for
buds.
everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's the same with writing. Writing's a little differently because then you have to be, when you're writing for somebody else, you have to be empathetic and remove yourself and then select who are you trying to channel. Am I channeling my cousin? Am I channeling my sister? Am I channeling my ex? I know it's hard for you to be my friend when you're supposed to be my wife. Like who are you channeling? Ordinary people. I was channeling my ex at the time. Even though John Legend sung it, but originally Fergie was supposed to sing it. You gotta strip away yourself, empathize, and channel who it is you're trying to connect with. And I think writing for a female, songs that are like sensitive, you have to have like a strong relationship with some dominance, some higher frequency, or else you're gonna write. You could tell a song written by a guy that it's like, I'm gonna shake this pussy in your face type of shit. Like, a nigga wrote that.
Throw baby.
A dude wrote that shit because that's every dude's fantasy of like girls, how they want girls to be. Or maybe they're and I could be, but also respecting females that pin that type of stuff. You got to be aware that that's also still playing into guy fantasy. But yeah, I try to remove the ego and think about like my sister or my mom when writing for females.
Word.
Oh, and according to Wikipedia, which you know is not always correct, but Play With Fire by Hilary Duff, ring any bells?
Who?
Play With Fire by Hilary Duff, ring any
Pillow
bells?
Fire.
Play with fire?
Yes, Play With Fire by Hilary Duff.
Pillow Fire?
Play with Fire.
Oh.
I like Pillow Fire better though.
Hold on, let me see. They said I did that?
Sounded kind of...
I didn't produce this.
Oh. All right.
I didn't produce it, but I wrote on it.
You wrote on it.
Yeah, it's produced by this guy by the name of Rhett Lawrence. Rhett Lawrence is a dude that got me into producing on Pro Tools. Because he was one of the back in the 90s. Rhett Lawrence was one of the dudes that like tested Pro Tools and like helped them guide their product. And one day he was like, "Well, I think you're really gonna like working on Pro Tools. I seen the way you work on the MPC, and that's a different type of computer.
It's a computer."
And, yeah, I think if I could get you a free Pro Tools rig, maybe you could like. And so I'm like, "Yo, hook up a Pro Tools rig, bro." And he taught me how to produce on Pro Tools vocals. But then I started doing everything on Pro Tools, like drag and drop audio files, consolidate, creating drum loops and shit like that. And so I remember we were working on a song with Macy Gray, a request line, and he had that beat up. So no, I didn't do the beat. I wrote on it. I think I did some like vocal at the end or some shit like that.
How did The Voice Philippines star J. Ray Soul join the group?
Oh man, so I started doing The Voice in 2012. I thought I was only going to be doing it for a year or something because Fergie's like, "Yo, I want to take a break." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'm thinking we going to get back like, "Yo, like a piece, we going to..." because we just got finished playing the Super Bowl. We was doing like stadiums, tours around the world and stuff. Like
Big, huge stores, Rio and all that type of shit.
yeah, like 90,000 seats, 3 nights in a row. Like that's a lot of motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
Every night, 90,000. And I was like, we had this like, the follow-up tour was like buku bucks. And
we have to count how many times you said buku.
Yeah, your
today.
new name is MC Buku.
And so I thought we was gonna get back together, like not get back together, but go back on the road by 2014. I was doing the voice and I told App, like, yo, bro, you should do the Voice Philippines. So App goes out and do the Voice Philippines. He's like, yo, Will, there's a girl on my team. She really dope. She Black and Filipino like me. I was like, yo, that's dope. What you gonna do? You gonna work with her after? Did she win? He's like, nah, she didn't win. I was like, yeah. J-Hud didn't win. She could still be a star. He was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna bring her out here to work on music. I was like, how old is she? He's like, yo, she about to turn 18. He's like, but she's just like me, Will. She doesn't know her dad. She was raised in a village. She got made fun of because she was Black and Filipino. And yeah, I'm gonna bring her out. So she comes out and I'm like, yo, App, she just turned 18, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yo, you should do the same thing Mr. Hudgens did for you, do for her.
Wow.
Like, sponsor her for her music career. He was like, yeah, I should, huh?
It's all full
so
circle.
He comes out, he, does all the paperwork to where he's the legal guardian.
So he adopts her as an adult.
No, not a daughter, like adopt, just like guardian.
Right.
The legal guardian for the states, applies for a visa, and he's like super strict. He's like, yo, you got to be in the house by 12 midnight. I'm like, yo, bro, we was going out when we was 15, 16 years old, bro. He was like, I was like, yo, she's 18. Like, you should let her go out. He was like, yeah, well, so anyways, when she turned like 19, 20, she started working with us on records. And so J. Ray and the Black Eyed Peas, with the Black Eyed Peas traveling, is so like connected to purpose. And Apple was like,
I didn't realize she was family like that though.
Yeah, she's family like that because Apple just doing what, Apple's like, paying it forward to how he was able to like live his dreams and take care of his family. So the first record that we did together was Masters of the Sun. I'm like, yo, look, we're going to do this Black Eyed Peas record because from 2012, 13, 14, we thought like, okay, by 14, Fergie's going to want to go back on tour. Then 15, 16, and Taboo had cancer, beat it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, let's go back on the road. Still like can't configure it as a quartet. So Tab's like, fuck it. Let's just go back to the trio. I'm like, are you sure, Tab? Like, listen, I'm gonna continue to do my tech shit. He was like, yeah, let's do the trio shit. I'm like, all right. So that means we got to go back and do a record that was supposed to, after Bridging the Gap.
Yeah.
We got to make that type of record, like the kind of record when Fergie wasn't with us.
Yeah.
And so he was like, let's do it. And so J. Ray was the perfect, artist to be a part of that vibe of like jazz, soul samples, bossa nova samples, and just making that record true to that. And we did. And that's, out of all the records we made, Master of the Sun is my favorite Black Eyed Peas record.
It's a great record.
That record's my favorite one. And then we got dropped off of Interscope. I'm like, not that it was supposed to hurt, but that shit hurt. I'm like, yo, we got dropped.
I made a lot of money for Interscope.
I'm like, how we get dropped? And here's how we got dropped. In 2009, Jimmy Iovine was like, I need a new Black Eyed Peas record.
Your Jimmy is hilarious.
I'm like, yo, Jimmy, like, we just put out the end. I got a feeling it's big. It just came out. I know. That's why we need a new record. I'm like, yo, but we still got singles off of this album. We go on tour and we rehearse for the Super Bowl. Like, we're on tour. We'll just turn in the Black Eyed Peas record. Bless you. I'm sorry, bless you. He's like, we'll just turn in the Black Eyed Peas record. stop being difficult. So I'm like, look, I don't even have like songs prepared. He's like, look, Lady Gaga just did Fame Monster, as a follow-up to her record is exploding, and these repacks are doing really great. So I'm like, yo, listen, I Got a Feeling is the #1 downloaded song on iTunes. So then we audited them.
Right.
Like,
Right.
We want to see the books. Turns out they were only paying us as a fucking physical record. So they owed us buku bucks. And so and it was the same time they had to renew the Black Eyed Peas contract. After Master of the Sun didn't really stream well because it wasn't supposed to stream well. We didn't make that kind of record.
Right.
Like, I know how to make those type of stream records. I also know how to make the kind of records that are just like, yo, let's vibe out to this. But they were judging how that album performed.
This is a crazy story you're telling.
So they were like, all right, we owe you money to renew the contract. We owe you money from this freaking audit. So we just gonna drop you because we don't think you could do the type of streaming numbers. So I was like, that hurt, but I understood them. So then it's time to do a record. So I'll pause. In 1997, Black Eyed Peas were gonna get signed to Sony Records first. They offered us $1,100,000 in 1997. Jimmy offered us $400,000. He's like, look, you can sign with Sony for $1 million, but if you don't sell records, I guarantee it'll be the last record you ever make. No matter how many records you sell at Interscope, you could always make records at Interscope. So we go with Jimmy. Now, they drop us. Sony offers us a record deal with Sylvia Rhone. I'm like, yo, Jimmy, we just got dropped, but Sylvia just offered us a deal. Get the fuck out of here. Let's do this. Let me help you negotiate your contract. I think that'll be great, a full circle. I'm like, all right. Tell them you want exactly what they offered you back in 1997. I'm like, wait, that's lowballing it. Doesn't matter. You don't need the money. Get a better back end.
Get
the best back end. Bet on yourself to win, not fail.
Right.
It's like, you don't need the money. Yeah, right? We did a Latin album.
Translation.
That shit streamed like fuck ass crazy.
Right. You got Ozuna, Maluma, Nicki
J
Jam,
Balvin.
Shakira, J Balvin, Al Alpha. Who didn't you get on this? You got the whole community.
We have 4 #1s off that record.
And you mixing these new Latin artists with old rhythms like La Isla Bonita and Can You Feel the Beat?
No, but I'm telling you, that whole blueprint is Mellow Mayonnaise, bro.
Right.
He told me like, yo, this is the blueprint. Latin, Spanglish. So my East LA roots, black, only black dude in all Mexican neighborhood is translation. And it was like it was like a challenge. Oh, y'all don't think we could freaking stream in our 40s? I just gotta.
Right. And you put on the soccer shorts.
Yo,
and the outfits.
And I got my PE shorts on, bro.
Who wears
I like when folks, I love to prove motherfuckers wrong. Like,
right.
Old. Hey, bro.
He said, not only am I going to have a #1 streaming album with Ozuna on it and Shakira on it, I'm going to do it in my PE shorts. Fuck you niggas.
No, for real, like, it's just like, I like to compete, bro. Right. I like to fucking like, what is it going to take to win? And let's all define actually what win is. Because everybody has a different interpretation what win is. Like, what is win? And let's scientifically break down how we going to do it. Or else it's like, just like, let's wish for the best.
Right.
Like, nah, bro. Let's break this shit down. There's a mathematical equation to actually accomplish whatever it is we trying to do. Is it finance? Is winning a certain amount of money in the bank? Is winning notoriety and people like, yeah, the heads liking it? Okay. Is winning like plots of land on the planet that you could be like, yup? Is what is winning? Is winning like intellectual property that's yours and is like always like making money? Let's break that down. How do we do that?
Yeah.
And I like to fucking go in And I learned that from the ad agency. I learned that from Intel. I learned that from that's how they move. They move that way. They go in, they get rid of all whatever that emotion is that's bogging them down. They put their fucking science hat on and they approach the problem with no emotions.
Problem solving, get over that hurdle, show me the obstacle. I can figure out how to get over it.
And you didn't go to college, correct?
No, I got my GED though from high school.
I'm just saying this for people that don't want to go the school route, because I mean, you've learned so much and you've done so much in your career that they say you have to go to school for, and you just learned on the go.
If I went to college, would I be better than... I wish I went to college because I'll have more organizational skills.
Right.
But you know that you have the benefit of a life of experience to even know that.
Yeah. So now, knowing what I know now, like there are a couple of things that I'm lacking in my wheelhouse and my toolbox. Yes, my organizational skills. And, but if I was a youth today, to do exactly what I'm doing now, there's some skill sets that I need to understand, because our generation, humans competed against humans. And if you were a mathematician, yeah, maybe you had a calculator, but you never had to worry about the calculator working you. You still needed the calculator.
Yeah.
You needed an input. The computer now is almost a couple of minutes away from doing it without human input.
Oh, yeah, we have Skynet now.
Okay, so I told y'all I take business classes or whatever. So I was looking up an answer to one of my quizzes. And I read the answer out loud, and I went to Google and I wrote one word, and the whole question came up. Not lying.
Yeah, that's two reasons. One, was it your phone?
Yes.
Yeah. That's because your phone can predict you in ways that you can't imagine. So the only thing that you could think that's happening is that the microphone's on. It can predict you.
Well, you're giving it the information. You're giving your phone, the things you're typing in, the information, the time you spend on your phone, where you visit. Your phone is collecting all that and then using that.
Yeah, these predictive algorithms are worrisome.
Yes. They're scary.
Only because the business model is flawed.
Yeah.
The business model's inhumane. If the business model was, ethical and cared about your civil liberties and your privacy, then it's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
And have you ever, or are you thinking about going to school and getting either an honorary degree or a traditional degree?
Turns out, there's a friend of mine that just got out of prison. And he's like, man, can't get no jobs. I was locked up for X amount of years. And I was like, yo, if you want to get a job working for somebody, you need a degree. And you need not have a record. But if you want a job, if you want to give people jobs, you don't need a degree.
None of that.
Wow, that's interesting.
And you don't need...
That's a bar right there.
Right.
Yeah.
To work for somebody, you need a degree.
For some people to work for you, you don't need shit but an idea.
Yeah.
You need nothing but an idea for somebody to work for you.
That's real knowledge right there.
Because I have kids that are in my program that are going to college, yes. But for real, no.
Yeah, no, but that's real knowledge right there. That's real knowledge right there. And if
Stop.
you are going to, and
nigga?
what you said though, what you said is real knowledge, because it's like, I went to NYU and I dropped out. Had I known I could have gone to a Berkeley College of Music or something like that, because that's what I was thinking. I want to do music. Had I known there was a place that would lead me on that path, I probably would have done something like that. My daughter went to college in Queens. What college was that? LaGuardia? And it was just because the family's like, yo, you got to go to college. And then, a few months in, she was like, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to go. And what could I tell her? Stay in college just because? As someone who dropped out of college? She dropped out of college, started doing her art, moved out to LA to do school in LA. And now she's thriving as an artist. But it's because, what's the name of the school you going to?
Los Angeles Recording School.
Right.
On Sunset.
She's going to school.
We have about 5 to 10
Got you. We go into
You
school.
better get it, Deani.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And now she's telling me how to wrap it up.
That was a very polite way to say, like, hurry up.
Wrap it up, Bob.
But yeah, I say all that to say that I like the fact that I like the way you answered that question, because you're not discouraging people from going to college, because there's ways that it could be a useful tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, but I have a business degree for my past career. I don't need it.
Right.
Or some type of honorary degree for what I did already. Don't need that. But what I'm currently doing, if I had like some type of honorary, whatever the hoo-ha, it'll make my path probably a smoother path to travel down. Because in the space that I'm in now as an entrepreneur, to be taken seriously when you're going out there and raising money. And the reason why you need to raise money is because if you have the ability to fund it yourself, funding it yourself does not come with brains. It doesn't come with other thinking. It doesn't come with like strategy. And you're going to be running up against a wall. And it's cool to run up against a wall if you have the muscle to knock that wall down. And yes, I can knock the wall down, but I'm gonna have bruises on the other coming out of the other side of it. Having that type of strategic thought that comes with that capital, because you're gonna burn through the money, no matter how much money you raise. But the strategy that comes with the money keeps you from having to always knock that wall down. The strategy is like, yo, I got a stick of dynamite. Everybody back up. Poof, wall down. Yo, here's a rope. Scale it. Wall climbed over. And sometimes money and strategy, if you have that type of like backing or that type of like degree, it helps you when starting businesses. But putting a win on the board is more powerful than any degree. Having real success, real magnetism, figuring out who your cohorts are, figuring out who your audience is or customer or user base, even though I don't like thinking of people as users, because the only industries that have users is addicts and games.
And hip hop. Kanye West be using people.
Oh my gosh. That was a good one, Tom.
You know what I mean? Like, so tech, I like to people. I call them people. Having that degree would make it easier. But does that discourage me that it's going to be harder? Nothing will ever be harder than getting out the projects. Nothing.
Say that.
Harder than that.
Say that.
Coming from nothing and doing the things that we've like, what? That was the hardest stunt.
Yes.
Right. And so now I got a new stunt. And this one's gonna be a doozy. But because I see it, I know I see the paths opening up. One day I was thinking, like, during COVID, I'm like, remote work for creatives, we don't have like a platform made for us. Like for creatives, we use WhatsApp, and then we use Dropbox, and then we use Box, and then we use WeTransfer, and then we have email, and then we have Zoom. Like we have to work across 5 different things, and then all your data is across 5 different things, and nothing's truly encrypted end to end when you're going through 5 different things. And that's the problem that I wanted to solve, is like a enterprising digital asset management tool for creatives. And so I found that the team, funded the team, raised some money that comes with brains. I know that just by raising the money, the questions that were asked, being like the founder and the CEO of the company, when you asked me that question and I answered it the way I answered it, I have to like, rebuttal with like, actually, I probably wouldn't have been under that skeptic microscope if I had that under my belt.
Word. Well, shit. This has been, like I said at the beginning of the show, this has been what this show has built for. And I feel like you set us up nicely when you talked about learning technology, because you're like, I'm not like, I can't play piano like Stevie Wonder. But you gave us so much knowledge and so much information.
Yes.
And you've been so helpful to me as an artist. I'm a huge fan of your music. You've taken me on the road. You've put money in my pocket. You've helped me pay for my family to eat and live. And, I love you and I appreciate you. And you're still on Alter Ego, right?
No, I don't. Well, I don't know if they're going to do a new season.
All right. Well, I thought that show was kind of creepy. Ready Player One is the movie it made me think of. But I mean, creepy in a great way. I'm being facetious.
No. It's doing that show every day for the time that we did it. I realized that there's going to be new types of like marital relationship issues.
We're already here.
Where guys are going to tell their wives, or wives are going to tell their husbands, or husbands are going to tell their husbands, and wives are going to tell their wives, like, do you love them?
Do you love your side bitch avatar?
And then they're going to be like, well, they make me feel the way that you don't. Or like, but it ain't even real. Why you tripping?
Right.
Like,
it's like fantasy football.
Yo, bro, like this stuff, this next one.
Virtual bitches.
We here. Ladies and gentlemen, will.i.am, the People's Party is proud to have him. Thank you.